The stars were brighter than anyone had ever seen on Earth, their shimmering light cutting through the eternal night of the outer reaches of the galaxy. It was an unremarkable planet, classified as E2332 by the Galactic Federation, a mere speck of dust floating in the vastness of space. Yet, for the alien race known as the Zither, this was no ordinary planet. It was the site of their grand experiment, the culmination of centuries of research into the gravitational phenomena that governed this world. As the Zither mothership hovered silently above the blue and green orb, Captain Vexar stared out at the swirling clouds and oceans below. The Zither were a species defined by their intellect and ambition, an advanced civilization that had conquered space travel and made countless discoveries across the galaxy. But their greatest challenge had always been harnessing gravity, a force so mundane for many species. Yet for the Zither, it was a riddle they could not solve. Vexar turned to his second-in-command, Tithra, who was busy calibrating the instruments that would measure Earth's gravitational pull. "Is everything ready?" he asked, his voice low and cautious. Tithra nodded, her antennae twitching with excitement. "All systems are operational, Captain. We're ready to initiate the gravitational resonance probe." "Good," Vexar said, his eyes narrowing. "We must be precise. Any miscalculation could expose us." As they prepared for their descent, the rest of the crew busied themselves with the ship's advanced technology. Zither were a sight to behold, slender, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver under the ship's lights. Their eyes glowed with intelligence, revealing a depth of understanding that belied their physical fragility. The Zither had spent decades monitoring Earth from afar, fascinated by the way its inhabitants adapted to their gravity, an invisible force that shaped their lives in ways they had yet to comprehend. They had heard whispers of human ingenuity, of dreams that reached the stars. Now they would learn firsthand. As the ship descended through the atmosphere, Vexar felt a surge of anticipation. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. Earth's gravity was known to fluctuate in peculiar ways, almost as if it had a sentience of its own, and the Zither believed that understanding it could unlock secrets of manipulation and control that would elevate their civilization to unprecedented heights. The ship landed softly in a secluded forest, far from prying eyes. The Zither emerged, their forms reflecting the soft moonlight. Vexar took a moment to scan their surroundings, his senses attuned to the strange smells and sounds of this new world. The air was thick with moisture, and the rustling leaves whispered secrets of ancient life. "Let's set up the equipment," Vexar commanded. "We need to begin the analysis immediately." Tithra and the other crew members unloaded their advanced technology, setting up a perimeter of devices that hummed with energy. Each piece of equipment was designed to capture the nuances of gravitational fluctuations, to analyze the subtle forces that shaped this world. Hours passed as they worked in the dim light of the forest, surrounded by the sounds of nocturnal creatures. As Vexar watched the screens flicker with data, he felt a strange unease creeping in. Something about this planet felt different. Earth had a vibrancy, an unpredictable energy that seemed almost sentient, watching and waiting. "Captain," Tithra called, breaking his thoughts. "You need to see this." He approached her station, where a series of graphs and readings flickered with alarming intensity. "What is it?" he asked, scanning the data. "Look at the gravitational spikes," she said, her voice a mixture of excitement and concern. "They're off the charts. It's as if the planet is reacting to our presence." Vexar frowned. "It shouldn't be possible. We've made stealth adjustments to the ship. There's no way they could detect us yet." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, sending vibrations through the forest. The Zither exchanged uneasy glances, their antennae twitching in agitation. "Retreat to the ship," Vexar ordered, but it was too late. A blinding light erupted from the heart of the forest, lighting the area in a surreal glow. The Zither shielded their eyes as the light intensified, enveloping them in an ethereal brilliance. Vexar felt a force pulling at him, a gravitational tug that was unlike anything he had experienced. "Captain," Tithra cried out, her voice barely audible over the roar of energy. "We need to stabilize the probe." Before they could react, the world spun around them. The light pulsated, and then silence. The forest, the ship, the very fabric of their reality faded into nothingness. When Vexar regained consciousness, he found himself lying on cold, hard ground. He blinked against the harsh glare of sunlight and tried to gather his bearings. Around him, his crew members were slowly regaining their senses, looking just as disoriented. "Status report!" he shouted, pushing himself to his feet. We're still on Earth, Captain," Tithra said, rubbing her head. "But something is very wrong." Vexar glanced around. They were no longer in the forest, but in a vast open field that stretched to the horizon. The sky was a brilliant blue, and in the distance he could see a city, its towering structures shimmering like jewels in the sun. But the air felt heavier, almost oppressive, as if the very atmosphere was conspiring against them. "Prepare for immediate extraction," Vexar ordered. But the moment he spoke, he felt an unexpected weight settle in his chest. He took a step forward, only to find that it was more difficult than he anticipated. The gravity felt heavier, pressing down on him in a way that made every movement a challenge. The others struggled as well, their bodies unaccustomed to this sudden shift. "What is happening?" Tithra gasped, her breath coming in labored gasps. "Why does it feel like we're being pulled down?" Vexar clenched his fists, anger bubbling inside him. "The gravitational fields, they're stronger than our calculations suggested. We need to move." As they struggled to maintain their footing, Vexar's mind raced. This wasn't just a scientific anomaly, it was a trap. Earth's gravity had ensnared them, drawing them in with an irresistible force. The Zither had come to explore, to learn, but instead, they were now prisoners of the very force they sought to understand. "Captain, we must recalibrate the ship," Tithra suggested, her voice strained. "We can't stay here." Vexar nodded, but deep down, a chilling thought crossed his mind. What if Earth didn't want them to leave? What if they were meant to be more than mere visitors? The Zither had always prided themselves on their intellect, but this planet was unlike anything they had encountered. As they staggered toward the distant city, the weight of gravity pressed down on them like an invisible chain, binding them to this strange world. The realization dawned on Vexar: they had entered a domain ruled by a force far beyond their comprehension. They were not just explorers, they were intruders, caught in Earth's ultimate trap. The city loomed closer, its structures an intricate web of human ingenuity. But as they approached, Vexar felt a strange sense of dread wash over him. The streets were eerily empty, devoid of life, as if the inhabitants had fled in anticipation of their arrival. "What is this place?" Tithra murmured, her gaze darting around, searching for signs of life. "I don't know," Vexar replied, his heart racing. "But we need to find shelter and recalibrate the ship. We can't let this gravity crush us." As they entered the city, the buildings towered above them, casting long shadows that felt like fingers reaching down to ensnare them. The silence was oppressive, filled with an unspoken tension that prickled at the back of Vexar's mind. He had always believed that knowledge was the key to power, but in this moment, he felt like a pawn in a game he couldn't comprehend. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A shadow darted across the street ahead of them. Vexar signaled for the crew to halt, his heart pounding in his chest. "Stay alert," he whispered, inching forward. As they approached, the shadow revealed itself a small, disheveled human child, no older than 6. The child stared at them with wide, fearful eyes, clutching a tattered toy in one hand. "Who are you?" Vexar asked, kneeling to meet the child's gaze. Are you monsters?" the child stammered, backing away. No, we mean no harm," Vexar reassured, but his voice trembled with uncertainty. "We're explorers. We come in peace." "Explorers?" The child's eyes narrowed, suspicion creeping into their expression. "You're not from here, are you?" "No, we're not," Tithra replied, stepping forward. "But we need your help. We're lost." The child hesitated, glancing back toward the shadows of the buildings. "You shouldn't be here. They'll come for you." "Who will?" Vexar pressed, fear gnawing at his insides. "The Guardians," the child whispered, eyes wide. Vexar's heart raced as he exchanged glances with Tithra and the others. The child's words sent a chill down his spine. "Guardians?" he repeated, trying to keep his tone calm. "What do you mean?" The child shifted nervously, glancing back over their shoulder as if expecting something to emerge from the shadows. "They protect the city. They don't like strangers. They'll trap you, like they trapped my parents." Vexar straightened, realizing that time was of the essence. "We need to get somewhere safe. Can you help us?" The child hesitated, then nodded slowly, their expression a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Follow me." As they moved deeper into the city, Vexar felt the weight of gravity bearing down on him even more heavily. Each step was a reminder of how vulnerable they were. The buildings loomed over them like giants, their walls adorned with strange symbols and carvings that whispered of a history far older than the Zither. The streets remained eerily quiet, and Vexar found himself scanning the surroundings for any sign of life or danger. The child led them through winding alleys and beneath arching structures that seemed to bend toward the ground, as if the very architecture conspired to keep them trapped. "Where are we going?" Tithra asked, her voice tense. "To the old shelter," the child replied. "It's hidden. No one goes there anymore." "Why not?" Vexar asked, keeping pace with the child as the rest of the crew fell into formation behind him. "Because of the Guardians," the child whispered, glancing back again. "They don't want anyone to find it." Vexar felt a knot form in his stomach. "What are these Guardians? What do they do?" "They protect the city from people like you," the child said, voice barely above a whisper. "They can sense when someone doesn't belong. They're powerful." Vexar's mind raced. This was no ordinary planet. Earth was alive, pulsating with forces that resonated beyond their understanding. The gravitational anomalies, the strange energy, they were all tied to the Guardians, whatever they were. After several tense minutes of navigating the labyrinthine streets, the child halted in front of a dilapidated building that seemed to blend into the surroundings. Vexar peered around. The air felt thick, almost electric. "Here," the child said, pushing open a creaking door that swung inward with a mournful groan. Inside, the room was dark, light only by slivers of light filtering through the cracks in the walls. It smelled of damp and decay. Vexar gestured for the others to follow, and they entered the shelter cautiously. "We'll stay here for now," he declared, motioning for everyone to spread out and assess the area. As they settled in, Vexar took stock of their situation. They were surrounded by dust-covered furniture, remnants of a life long abandoned. "We need to figure out a way to communicate with the ship," he said, kneeling beside Tithra, who was already checking their equipment. "Most of our systems are compromised by the gravitational fluctuations," she replied, frustration evident in her tone. "But if we can get to a higher point, maybe we can recalibrate the communication array." Vexar nodded, contemplating the child's warning. "We'll need to be careful. We can't attract the Guardians' attention." As they worked in hushed tones, the child sat cross-legged in a corner, clutching their toy tightly. "What happened to your parents?" Vexar asked softly, hoping to distract the child from their fears. They went to find help," the child whispered, tears welling in their eyes. "They never came back." A wave of empathy washed over Vexar. "I'm sorry," he said, kneeling closer. "But we're here now. We can help you." The child shook their head, staring down at the toy. "No one can help. The Guardians don't let anyone leave." Vexar felt the weight of despair in the child's voice. "What if we could outsmart them? What if we found a way to escape together?" The child looked up, eyes brightening for a moment. "You're not afraid?" "Fear is just a part of this adventure," Vexar said, forcing a smile. "But we can't let it control us." After a few moments, Tithra interrupted, her voice low and urgent. "Captain, I'm getting some readings. There's a communications array on the roof of this building, but we need to be cautious. The gravitational pull is stronger up there." Vexar nodded. We'll go as a group. Stay alert, and keep an eye out for the Guardians." They moved cautiously through the darkened shelter, climbing stairs that creaked ominously beneath their weight. Each step felt like a countdown, a reminder of the threat that loomed outside. When they finally reached the rooftop, Vexar paused to catch his breath, the weight of gravity pressing down on him like a lead blanket. The view was breathtaking. The city stretched out before them, an intricate tapestry of structures woven together in an eerie silence. In the distance, the horizon glowed with the orange hue of sunset, casting long shadows across the landscape. "This is it," Tithra said, setting up their equipment on a flat surface. "If we can get a signal out, we might be able to call for reinforcements." "Do it," Vexar commanded, scanning the skyline for any signs of movement. As Tithra began to recalibrate the array, the child stood by Vexar, clutching his arm. "What if the Guardians come?" they whispered, fear flooding their voice. "They won't find us if we're quick," Vexar replied, trying to sound reassuring. But deep down, he felt the tension rising. The air crackled with energy, a warning that something was coming. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. The vibrations were subtle at first, but quickly escalated into violent shakes that threatened to unbalance them. Tithra cursed under her breath, scrambling to stabilize the equipment. "Captain," she shouted, "the gravitational fluctuations are increasing. We need to finish this quickly." Vexar's instincts kicked in. "Everyone, stay low," he ordered, hunkering down beside Tithra as the world around them shook with a fury they had never experienced. The child whimpered, burying their face against Vexar's side. "I don't want to be trapped." "Neither do we," Vexar said, his voice firm. "But we're not giving up." "Tithra, how much longer?" "Just a few more moments," she yelled, her fingers flying over the controls. The tremors intensified, sending a cascade of debris tumbling from the rooftops. Vexar shielded the child with his body, feeling the strain of gravity pushing down on him. It was as if the very planet itself was rebelling against their presence. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw movement, a dark silhouette emerging from the depths of the city. The Guardians. Tall and imposing, their forms seemed to meld into the shadows, their features obscured by a dark, shimmering mist. Vexar's blood ran cold. They were real. "Get down," he shouted, pushing the child to the ground just as the first Guardian stepped into view. It was a figure of pure energy, shimmering with an iridescent glow that pulsed in time with the vibrations of the earth. Tithra's hands flew over the controls, desperation etched on her face. "I'm almost there." "Hold on," Vexar growled, his heart pounding. The Guardians advanced, their presence suffocating, drawing closer with each passing second. The child clutched Vexar tighter, trembling with fear. "Now!" Tithra shouted, pressing the final button. A bright beam of light shot into the sky, light the darkness around them. The Guardian halted, its attention drawn to the signal. For a moment, time seemed to freeze as the light connected with the ships hovering above the city. "Let's go," Vexar yelled, grabbing the child's hand and pulling them toward the stairs. They raced down, the vibrations still shaking the building around them, the Guardians following closely behind. As they reached the ground floor, Vexar felt the air shift, the gravity becoming unbearable. They stumbled out of the building just as the first Guardian reached them, extending a hand that glimmered with a strange, pulsating energy. "Run!" Vexar shouted, pushing the child ahead. They sprinted through the empty streets, the oppressive weight of gravity pressing down on them like an iron shroud. The sound of the Guardians' pursuit echoed in their ears, a relentless reminder of the danger they faced. Vexar led the way, navigating through alleys and side streets as they made their way back toward the forest where their ship was hidden. The city felt alive, the shadows shifting and twisting as if the very structures were watching, waiting for their chance to ensnare them. "We're almost there," Vexar urged, pushing through the fatigue that threatened to slow him down. The child struggled to keep pace, their small legs faltering against the weight of gravity. "Just a little further," Tithra encouraged, glancing back at the rapidly approaching Guardians. whose glowing forms shimmered like specters in the fading light. As they neared the forest edge, Vexar felt a surge of hope. "We can make it," he shouted, adrenaline curse. The forest loomed ahead, a dense wall of trees and underbrush that felt like a sanctuary against the chaos of the city. Vexar led the way, urging the child to keep up as Tithra, and the rest of the crew followed closely behind. The distant sounds of the Guardians echoed behind them, their relentless pursuit a reminder of the stakes at play. Vexar could feel the gravitational pressure mounting, making each step feel like a monumental effort. The child stumbled, and he quickly scooped them up into his arms. "Hold on tight," he urged, pushing forward as the shadows of the trees began to envelop them. The moment they entered the forest, the atmosphere shifted. The air was cooler, the weight of gravity less oppressive, as if the trees themselves were providing a brief reprieve. Vexar could hear the rustling of leaves and the soft whispers of the wind, a stark contrast to the metallic sounds of the city. "We need to find a place to hide," Tithra panted, her eyes darting nervously. "The Guardians won't follow us in here, but we need to be cautious." They moved deeper into the woods, ducking beneath low-hanging branches and pushing through dense foliage. Vexar could feel the child trembling in his arms, and he looked down, offering a reassuring smile. "We're safe here for now." "Will they find us?" the child asked, wide-eyed. Vexar hesitated, unsure how to answer. "We'll do everything we can to stay hidden. You're brave. Just hold on." Eventually, they came upon a cluster of thick trees, their trunks wide and gnarled, forming a natural alcove that seemed perfect for concealment. Vexar set the child down gently. "This will have to do. We can catch our breath here." As they settled into the shadows, Tithra began assessing their equipment. "We need to regain our strength and regroup. If we can recalibrate our ship, we might stand a chance against the Guardians." Vexar nodded, still scanning their surroundings. "But we need to understand who or what these Guardians are." The child said they protect the city. But from what? The child, sitting cross-legged on the ground, looked up. "They protect us from the bad people," they said softly. "They take anyone who doesn't belong. They make sure we're safe." "Safe from what?" Vexar pressed gently, kneeling beside the child. "From others who come to take," the child replied, their voice barely above a whisper. "They took my parents because they didn't listen." "Listen to what?" Tithra asked, curiosity piqued. "To the warnings," the child explained, their brow furrowed. "The Guardians can sense when someone is afraid. If you show fear, they come for you." Vexar felt a surge of understanding. "So, fear is their weapon?" "Yes," the child nodded, eyes wide. "They feed off it. If you're afraid, they grow stronger. If you fight back, they can't catch you." Vexar exchanged a glance with Tithra. "We need to turn that fear into courage," he said. "We can't let them control us. We're explorers. We have a mission." As they rested, Vexar couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The Guardians were not just protectors. They were sentinels of a greater force that seemed to weave through the fabric of Earth itself. The gravitational anomalies, the strange energy, they were all part of something much larger. "Let's keep moving," Vexar finally said, his voice firm. "We need to find a vantage point to see what's happening in the city." With the child in tow, they made their way deeper into the forest. The trees provided a natural cover, and the shadows felt like a protective cloak against the world outside. Vexar couldn't help but admire the beauty of the forest, the way the light filtered through the leaves, casting intricate patterns on the ground. After walking for what felt like hours, they came across a hill that overlooked the city. Vexar climbed to the top, helping the child up beside him. From this vantage point, they could see the entire expanse of the city, its towers glinting in the waning light. "What do you see?" Tithra asked, squinting at the horizon. "Look," Vexar pointed. "The Guardians are gathering near the center. It's like they're forming a perimeter." As they watched, the Guardians moved in unison, their forms swirling with energy. It was mesmerizing yet terrifying. The air around them crackled with power, and Vexar could feel the gravitational forces shifting again, almost as if the Guardians were drawing energy from the city itself. "They're protecting something," Tithra mused, her brow furrowed in thought. "But what?" "Maybe they're protecting the city from invaders," Vexar suggested, still focused on the scene below. "But they're also guarding the inhabitants from us. We need to be careful." The child, still perched beside Vexar, looked up at him with wide eyes. "Are they going to come for us?" "Not if we stay hidden," Vexar assured, but uncertainty gnawed at him. "We need to come up with a plan. We can't just sit here." "Perhaps we can find a way to communicate with them," Tithra suggested, her voice laced with hope. "If we can show them we mean no harm." "But how?" Vexar asked. "They won't listen to us. They only respond to fear." "We can show them courage," Tithra replied, determination brightening her features. "We can demonstrate our intentions without words." "Demonstrate?" Vexar echoed. "How do we do that?" "By standing together," Tithra said. "We need to confront the Guardians, not as intruders but as allies. If we can find a way to resonate with their energy—" "Wait," Vexar interrupted. "You mean we should challenge them?" "Not challenge, but show unity. If we stand as one, perhaps we can connect with them on a level they understand." The idea was risky, but Vexar felt a flicker of hope. "It's worth a shot. But we'll need to prepare ourselves. If they sense fear, we'll be at their mercy." Tithra nodded, her eyes narrowing with focus. "Let's gather our strength and resolve. We'll show them we're not afraid." They took a moment to center themselves, focusing on their breathing and drawing from the energy of the forest around them. Vexar felt the gravity of the situation weigh on him, yet he also felt the pull of determination surging within. They were explorers, not intruders, and they had to prove that. "Together," Tithra said, placing a hand on Vexar's shoulder, and then the child's. "We stand together." "Together," Vexar repeated, feeling the strength of their bond solidify. The child nodded, a flicker of courage igniting in their eyes. They descended the hill, moving cautiously toward the city. As they approached the outskirts, Vexar's heart raced. The Guardians would sense them soon enough, and he could only hope that their resolve would be enough to disarm whatever fears lay within. When they reached the edge of the city, the atmosphere shifted again. The air felt charged, filled with a palpable energy that hummed with potential. Vexar looked at Tithra, who nodded, signaling that they were ready. "Remember, stay calm," Vexar instructed. "Show them we mean no harm." They stepped into the light of the city, and the moment they did, the Guardians turned their attention toward them. The air crackled with energy, and Vexar could feel the gravitational pull intensifying, pressing down upon him like an oppressive weight. But they didn't falter. Together, they stood tall, facing the glowing figures before them. "Guardians," Vexar called out, his voice steady. "We are not your enemies. We come in peace." The Guardians hesitated, their shimmering forms flickering as if weighing his words. Vexar felt the child squeeze his hand, a silent reminder of the stakes at play. "We seek knowledge," Tithra added, her voice strong. "We wish to understand your purpose, to learn from you." The Guardians shifted, and Vexar could see the glimmering eyes focused on them, piercing through the shadows. The air buzzed with anticipation, and Vexar held his breath, hoping they would respond. For a moment, silence reigned, and Vexar felt a sense of urgency rising. "We know fear," he said, his voice echoing in the stillness. "But we choose courage. We wish to help, not harm." The Guardians began to pulse with energy, their forms glowing brighter. Vexar's heart raced, but he remained steady. "Show us," a voice resonated, not spoken but felt a deep vibration that shook the very ground beneath them. "Show us you are not afraid." Vexar felt the challenge in the words, a demand that echoed through his very being. They were testing them, pushing against the walls of their resolve. "Together," Tithra urged, her eyes shining with determination. Vexar closed his eyes, feeling the connection with his crew and the child. They were more than just a team, they were united in purpose, standing against the forces that sought to divide them. He opened his eyes, staring into the... Vexar felt the weight of the Guardians' gaze, their energy pulsating like a heartbeat resonating through the air. The challenge was clear. They needed to prove their courage, their intent, and above all, their unity. Together, he echoed again, rallying the small group around him. Tithra took a step forward, arms wide, an invitation for connection. We are explorers of the cosmos. We seek to understand, to learn from this world, not to conquer it. The Guardians, shimmering with energy, began to shift in form, swirling like ethereal smoke. Vexar's heart pounded in his chest as he felt the gravitational pull intensifying. Yet something else began to emerge from the Guardians, a pulse of energy that resonated with Vexar's own spirit. "What do we show them?" the child asked, their voice trembling. "Show them we are not afraid," Vexar responded, turning to the child and placing a hand on their shoulder. "Stand with us. We will face whatever comes together." The child nodded, determination flickering in their eyes. "I'm ready," they declared, straightening up. With a deep breath, Vexar faced the Guardians again. "We are here. We seek harmony," he declared, feeling the gravity shift in the air. "Let us connect with you." The Guardians halted their movement, their forms coalescing into clearer shapes. One stepped forward, its glow brighter than the others, light the ground beneath them. It was the largest of the group, a figure of majestic proportions, yet its energy felt inviting rather than menacing. "Show us your courage," the voice resonated again, echoing deep within Vexar's core. "Together," Tithra shouted, extending her hands to the sides. "We will show you." They formed a circle, each member of the group reaching out to one another, forming a bond of solidarity. Vexar could feel the warmth of their unity radiating between them, a shared heartbeat echoing in time with the pulsating energy of the Guardians. "Hold your fears," Tithra urged. "Transform them into strength." Vexar focused, drawing in a deep breath and centering himself. He thought of the vastness of the universe, the countless stars and worlds they had explored. He thought of the beauty of life, of the connections they had made with those they met along the way. "I am not afraid," Vexar declared, feeling a surge of energy. "We stand together. We choose courage." One by one, Tithra and the child echoed his words. "We choose courage." The child's voice rang clear and strong, cutting through the tension. Vexar felt pride swell in his chest. They were rising to the occasion, defying the fears that had threatened to consume them. As their voices harmonized, a bright light began to radiate from their circle, intertwining with the energy of the Guardians. The air crackled with electricity, and the gravitational pull began to ebb, as if the Guardians were reciprocating their energy. "Feel the bond," Vexar urged, his voice steady. "We are not alone." With each declaration, the light grew brighter, enveloping them in a warm glow. The Guardians responded in kind, their shimmering forms weaving around them like ribbons of light. The energy felt alive, vibrant, pulsating with life. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the city erupted into activity. Vexar glanced toward the skyline, where shadows of people began to emerge, staring in awe at the spectacle unfolding before them. The city was alive, responding to the call of the Guardians. "Together, we are stronger," Tithra said, her eyes alight with excitement. "Let this be our pact." As they held their ground, the Guardians' forms shifted and swirled, creating intricate patterns that danced across the skyline. Vexar could feel the gravity shifting again, but this time it felt lighter, more manageable. It was as if the city was lifting its burdens, allowing them to breathe freely. "Your fear is a chain," the voice of the Guardian echoed. "But together, you forge a key." Vexar's heart raced with understanding. "We're not just here to explore," he said, realization dawning. "We can help lift the weight of fear from this world. We can bring knowledge, peace." "Knowledge is power," Tithra added, her eyes shining with fervor. "We can help the people of this city understand their place in the universe, to embrace their fears and transform them." The largest Guardian floated closer, its energy washing over them like a wave. Then show us the way, it said. Lead us to understanding. Vexar felt a surge of inspiration. We need to gather the inhabitants of this city. They must see the Guardians as allies, not threats. And we need to share our knowledge of the cosmos, Tithra continued. We can bridge the gap between our worlds. The child, feeling the excitement, piped up. We can help them. We can teach them how to be brave. Yes, Vexar shouted, enthusiasm bubbling within him. Let's make it happen. The Guardians pulsated in agreement, their forms flickering with vibrant colors. The city below continued to awaken, its inhabitants drawn to the ethereal light radiating from the hill. Vexar's heart soared. This was the moment they had been waiting for, a chance to change the narrative, to show that fear could be transformed into strength. Let's move, Vexar commanded, rallying the group. We have to lead the way. As they made their way down the hill, the glow from the Guardians lit their path, light the forest around them. The air was electric, charged with possibility. Vexar felt a sense of purpose guiding them, propelling them forward. When they reached the outskirts of the city, the streets were already filling with curious faces, drawn to the energy that crackled in the air. Vexar could feel the weight of their gaze, a mixture of awe and trepidation. Everyone, gather, Vexar called out, his voice carrying through the crowd. We are here to share a message of courage. The crowd shifted, murmurs rising as they hesitated, uncertainty palpable in the air. Vexar could see the flicker of fear in their eyes. We come in peace, he shouted, determined to cut through the tension. The Guardians of this city are not your enemies. They protect you. The crowd fell silent, the words hanging in the air. Tithra stepped beside him, her presence a beacon of strength. We are explorers from beyond the stars, here to learn and to share our knowledge. You are not alone. The largest Guardian floated above them, its light lit the crowd. Fear has kept you captive, it intoned. But together, we can break the chains. We can rise. Vexar's heart raced as he watched the expressions in the crowd shift. Hope began to blossom in their eyes, replacing fear with curiosity. Join us, Vexar urged. Together, we can forge a new future. As he spoke, he saw the first glimmers of courage emerge. A woman stepped forward, her voice quivering but resolute. What do we need to do? Stand with us, Tithra shouted, her passion igniting the crowd. Embrace your fears, let them transform you. Together, we can find strength in unity. One by one, people began to move closer, their expressions shifting from fear to determination. The Guardians shimmered in response, their energy swirling around the growing crowd, creating a circle of light that enveloped them. Vexar felt the energy surge, a shared pulse echoing through the group. This is our moment, he exclaimed. Let's show the universe what we can accomplish when we come together. As the crowd gathered, Vexar looked around, feeling the sense of unity building. It was more than just a gathering, it was a transformation. People began to hold hands, forming a chain of solidarity that radiated strength. Tithra stepped into the center of the circle, her voice ringing clear. We are not here to conquer, we are here to learn, to share, and to grow. Fear does not have to rule our lives. Let us choose courage. The crowd erupted into cheers, a wave of excitement washing over them. Vexar felt the energy pulse stronger, a collective heartbeat resonating through the air. Let us show the Guardians our bravery, someone shouted, and the crowd roared in agreement. Vexar smiled, pride swelling in his chest. This was what they had come for, to unite, to bring understanding, to transform fear into something powerful. As the celebration continued, Vexar turned to the Guardian beside him, its shimmering form reflecting the energy of the gathering. What happens now? Now, you lead them to the truth, the Guardian replied, its voice a deep vibration that resonated within him. You will help them see their strength, and in return, they will help you understand the heart of this city. Vexar nodded, understanding the weight of the task before them. It was more than just a battle against fear. It was a quest for knowledge, for understanding the very essence of this world. Together, they could forge a path to a brighter future. one where fear no longer held dominion. The guardians, the people of the city, and their small crew, they were all interconnected, woven into the tapestry of existence. "Let's begin," Vexar said, determination filling his voice. "We have much to learn." The celebration pulsed with energy as Vexar, Tithra, and the child stood at the center of the gathering, surrounded by the shimmering guardians. The air crackled with anticipation, and Vexar felt the collective heartbeat of the crowd echoing through him. It was a rhythm of hope, courage, and unity. "Gather around," Tithra called, her voice ringing with authority. "We're going to show you how to confront your fears and embrace the strength within you." As people moved closer, Vexar felt a surge of inspiration. He could see the flicker of uncertainty in many faces, but also the glimmer of courage beginning to ignite. They were ready to transform, ready to take the first steps toward understanding. "Let's begin with a simple exercise," Vexar suggested. "Close your eyes and think of something that frightens you. A moment, a memory, a feeling." He watched as the crowd collectively closed their eyes, faces contorting in concentration. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Now, as you hold that fear in your mind, I want you to visualize it as a weight, a heavy burden you've been carrying." Tithra continued, her voice soothing. "But remember, this weight is not insurmountable. It's something you can acknowledge, something you can release." Vexar felt the guardian's energy swell, filling the air with warmth and light. "When you're ready, I want you to imagine that weight slowly lifting. Picture it dissolving, dissipating into the air like mist." The crowd shifted, expressions softening as they engaged with the exercise. Vexar could feel their collective energy rising, a wave of courage washing over them. "Now," he said, excitement building, "take a deep breath. Inhale that courage, that strength. Let it fill you up." As the crowd inhaled deeply, a light glow began to envelop them. Vexar felt the energy of the guardians resonating with theirs, creating a vibrant tapestry of light and strength. "And exhale," Tithra instructed, her voice rising above the crowd. "Let go of that fear. Let it vanish." The sound of their collective exhalation reverberated in the air, and Vexar watched as the energy around them brightened, swirling in a mesmerizing dance. The guardians pulsed with approval, their forms shifting in response to the growing power of the gathering. "Feel that strength," Vexar encouraged. "You are not alone. Together, we can rise above anything that binds us." A woman in the crowd stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with newfound resolve. "I've lived in fear of the guardians my whole life," she admitted, her voice strong yet vulnerable. "But I see now that they're not the enemy. They want to protect us." "Yes," Vexar exclaimed, feeling the momentum build. "The guardians are here to help. They reflect our own fears and strengths. When we confront our fears together, we can reshape our reality." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices rising in a chorus of determination. Vexar felt a wave of hope wash over him, knowing that they were on the brink of something monumental. "Let's show the guardians our commitment," Tithra suggested, her eyes gleaming. "Let's demonstrate that we're ready to stand united." The energy surged once more as the crowd began to chant, voices mingling in a powerful rhythm. "Together, together, together." Suddenly, the largest guardian floated higher, its form expanding and glowing brighter than ever before. "You have taken the first step," it boomed, its voice resonating with authority. "But there is more to discover. The heart of this city lies within its people. You must connect with one another to unlock the full potential of your unity." Vexar nodded, realizing the truth in the guardian's words. "Let's break into smaller groups," he proposed. "Share your experiences, your fears, and your hopes. Help each other find strength." The crowd began to form clusters, eager to engage and share. Vexar felt a surge of excitement. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, a chance to connect and understand one another. As he moved among the groups, He heard snippets of conversation stories of fear, of loss, of hope. Each person shared their own unique struggles, and Vexar could see the walls of fear beginning to crumble as they opened up to one another. "Fear has held me back," a man said, his voice trembling but determined. "I've always felt unworthy, but I see now that we can rise together." A woman beside him nodded, her eyes shining. "I thought I had to face my fears alone, but together we can overcome anything." Vexar smiled, feeling the warmth of connection radiate through the gathering. They were not just individuals, they were a community, a force that could challenge the very fabric of their fears. "Let's take what we've learned and channel it into a collective goal," Vexar suggested, raising his voice to capture the attention of the crowd. "Let's build a bridge of understanding between the Guardians and our city." The cheers erupted again, a wave of excitement crashing over them. "Yes," they shouted. "Let's do it." Tithra stepped forward, her passion igniting the crowd. "We need to create a plan, a way to communicate with the Guardians, to let them know we seek partnership, not conflict." Vexar nodded, feeling the energy surging around them. "We can host a gathering, a celebration of unity between us and the Guardians. It will be a demonstration of our commitment to coexistence." As the crowd buzzed with excitement, Vexar felt the Guardians shifting in response, their energy rippling in approval. "We will help you," the largest Guardian declared. "We will join this celebration, allowing your people to see that fear can be transformed." The crowd erupted into cheers again, and Vexar felt a surge of purpose. They were moving forward, taking control of their narrative and redefining their relationship with the Guardians. "Let's begin planning," Tithra said, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "We'll need decorations, a space, and a way to invite everyone in the city. We can set up a central location where all can gather." "Perhaps the plaza," Vexar suggested. "It's a place where people already come together." "Yes, the plaza," Tithra agreed, excitement bubbling over. "Let's make it a place of joy, where we can celebrate our courage." As they brainstormed ideas, Vexar felt a sense of exhilaration coursing through him. This was more than just a gathering, it was a turning point for the city and its inhabitants. They were forging a new path, one that embraced courage and understanding. Hours passed as they worked together, ideas flowing freely. Vexar saw the transformation taking place. People who had once shied away from the Guardians were now filled with purpose and determination. As dusk began to fall, the city was lit by the vibrant glow of the Guardians and the burgeoning energy of the crowd. The plaza took shape, decorated with colorful banners, lights, and symbols of unity. Vexar stepped back to admire their work. The plaza was alive with creativity, a beautiful tapestry woven from the collective hopes and dreams of the people. "This is it," he said, feeling a surge of pride. "This is what we can achieve together." As the night settled in, the atmosphere grew electric with anticipation. The city inhabitants had gathered, mingling in groups, sharing stories and laughter. Vexar could feel the connection deepening, and he knew they were on the brink of something incredible. With the plaza filled to capacity, Vexar stepped onto a makeshift stage. The glow of the Guardians lit him from behind. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "Welcome, everyone," he called, his voice echoing across the plaza. "Tonight, we gather not just to celebrate, but to forge a new path together. We are here to connect with the Guardians, to show that we embrace courage over fear." The crowd erupted into applause, the sound reverberating through the air. Vexar's heart raced with excitement. "Together, we will demonstrate that we can rise above our fears," he continued, feeling the energy building. "Let us show the Guardians that we are allies, that we can coexist." As he spoke, the largest Guardian floated down beside him, its form radiating warmth. "We stand with you," it declared, its voice resonating in the hearts of the crowd. "Together, we will break the chains of fear." The crowd cheered, the sound echoing through the plaza like thunder. Vexar felt a swell of hope and strength, knowing they were not alone in this journey. "Now, let us celebrate our courage," Tithra shouted, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Let the music play, and let us dance." As the first notes filled the air, the crowd surged forward, laughter and joy blending with the rhythm. Vexar joined them, the energy of the moment lifting him higher. They danced together, united in purpose, celebrating their newfound courage. The guardians swirled around them, their energy intertwining with the music, creating a dazzling display of light and color. Vexar felt the boundaries of fear dissolving, replaced by a sense of connection and unity. As the night wore on, Vexar watched the transformations. The plaza was alive, pulsing with the sound of music and laughter as Vexar danced among the crowd. The vibrant colors of the Guardians intertwined with the lights from the decorations, creating an atmosphere of joy and celebration. Each beat of the music resonated with the collective heartbeat of the city, transforming fear into freedom. Vexar glanced around, marveling at the way the inhabitants were fully engaged. Faces that once bore the weight of trepidation were now light with excitement and connection. They twirled, laughed, and shouted, lost in the moment, a testament to the power of unity. Tithra, radiant in her exuberance, danced alongside a group of children, her laughter infectious. The child who had joined their crew earlier was caught up in the joy, spinning and clapping with abandon. Vexar couldn't help but smile. This was what they had hoped for, a space where fear no longer reigned, where courage bloomed in the hearts of every individual. "Let's take it to the next level," Vexar shouted, raising his hands to the crowd. "Let's show the Guardians how far we've come." The music shifted into a faster tempo, and the crowd erupted in cheers, their energy lifting the very air around them. Vexar could feel the Guardians responding, their light forms pulsing in rhythm with the gathering. They were no longer mere observers, they were partners in this celebration, reflecting the courage radiating from the city. As the night wore on, Vexar climbed onto the stage once more, a wave of determination sweeping over him. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Everyone, let's share our stories," he called out, his voice rising above the music. "Let's tell the Guardians what it means to be united." The crowd began to quiet, curiosity piqued. Vexar felt a ripple of anticipation. He stepped to the edge of the stage, looking out over the sea of faces lit by the glow of the Guardians. "Who wants to go first?" he asked, inviting vulnerability and bravery. A moment passed, and then a hand shot up from the crowd. A young woman stepped forward, her voice slightly trembling but resolute. "I've always feared the unknown. The Guardians seemed intimidating, and I thought they were here to control us." She paused, taking a deep breath. "But tonight, I see that they reflect our own fears. Together, we can overcome them." A cheer erupted from the crowd, the woman's courage sparking a flame of inspiration. Vexar felt the energy in the air shift, a wave of solidarity washing over them. "Who's next?" Tithra called, encouraging more voices to join in. One by one, stories began to emerge. An older man spoke of a childhood spent in fear of the dark, of how he'd learned to embrace it and find beauty in the shadows. A woman shared her struggles with anxiety, how she'd felt paralyzed but found strength in the connections she was forging that night. Each story resonated deeply, weaving a rich tapestry of shared experiences. The Guardians pulsed with energy, their forms shimmering in acknowledgement of the courage displayed before them. "Fear is a shared experience," Vexar declared, feeling the momentum build. "When we embrace it together, we can turn it into strength." The crowd erupted into applause, the sound echoing through the plaza. Vexar's heart swelled with pride. They were making history together. They were creating a bridge between themselves and the Guardians, showing that fear could be transformed into understanding. As more voices joined the chorus of courage, Vexar spotted the child from their crew standing at the edge of the crowd, looking a bit hesitant. He smiled encouragingly, and the child nodded, stepping forward. "I'm scared of failing," the child said, their voice shaky but earnest. "I thought if I tried to help, I would mess everything up." They looked around, gathering courage from the supportive gazes. "But now I see that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to ask for help." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Vexar felt a wave of warmth wash over him. "That's right, We're all in this together. We support one another, and together, we rise. Tithra clapped her hands, excitement bubbling in her voice. Who else wants to share? An older woman stepped forward, her eyes shining with wisdom. I've lived my life in the shadows, always worrying about what might happen next. But tonight, I've realized that fear can be a guide, not a prison. It can lead us to strength and community. The crowd cheered again, their voices melding into a powerful chorus. Vexar felt a sense of euphoria. This was what he had hoped for, what they had all been striving toward. A moment of collective awakening. As the stories continued, the atmosphere in the plaza grew even more charged. Each shared experience deepened their bond, intertwining their fears and hopes into a singular thread of courage. They were no longer strangers. They were a community bound by their shared struggles. When the stories began to wane, Vexar felt compelled to speak again. Tonight, we've opened our hearts and shared our fears. Let's commit to one another. Let's promise to support each other in our journeys. Yes, the crowd echoed, enthusiasm building. Vexar smiled, feeling the energy shift once more. Let's create a symbol of our unity, he exclaimed, something we can carry with us as a reminder of our strength. The crowd buzzed with excitement, voices rising in agreement. A banner, someone shouted. A tree of courage, another suggested. Let's create a tapestry, Tithra proposed, her eyes sparkling with inspiration. Each person can contribute something, a piece of cloth, a symbol of their journey. Vexar nodded, feeling the momentum building again. Yes, we'll weave our stories into this tapestry, a physical representation of our collective courage. As the idea took hold, the crowd sprang into action, gathering materials from around the plaza. Banners, scraps of fabric, and colors began to emerge, each representing a unique story, a piece of their journey. Vexar stepped back, watching in awe as people came together to create something beautiful. Laughter and excitement filled the air as they worked, each person contributing a piece of themselves to the tapestry. It was a testament to their shared experiences, a celebration of their journey together. As the tapestry began to take shape, Vexar noticed the guardians floating closer, their energy shimmering in curiosity. He approached the largest guardian, feeling the warmth radiating from its form. Will you help us celebrate this tapestry? He asked, hope lighting his voice. The guardian pulsed with energy, and Vexar felt the connection deepening. We will join you. Together, we will honor this moment. With the tapestry almost complete, the crowd gathered once more, anticipation buzzing in the air. Vexar climbed onto the makeshift stage, feeling the energy of the people behind him. Tonight, we've faced our fears and embraced our strength, he proclaimed. Let this tapestry be a symbol of our unity, a testament to the courage we find in each other. Cheers erupted, echoing through the plaza. Vexar looked around, feeling a profound sense of belonging. They were no longer bound by fear. They were a community forged in courage. Let's unveil it, Tithra shouted, her voice ringing with excitement. With a wave of anticipation, they carefully unveiled the tapestry, revealing a vibrant display of colors and symbols. Each piece told a story. Some were bright and bold, others softer and more subtle, but together they formed a magnificent mosaic of their journey. The guardians pulsed with energy, their forms swirling in harmony with the vibrant tapestry. This is beautiful, the largest guardian said, its voice resonating through the crowd. It reflects the strength found in unity and understanding. As the crowd gazed at the tapestry, a sense of pride filled the air. They had created something meaningful, a representation of their shared experiences and newfound courage. Let us celebrate this moment, Vexar declared, raising his arms. Let's dance and honor our journey. The music began again, this time infused with a sense of joy and celebration. The crowd erupted into movement, laughter ringing out as they danced around the tapestry, each person feeling the energy of connection and community. Vexar joined them, moving with abandon as the music swelled. He felt the warmth of the guardians surrounding him, their energy blending with the vibrant spirit of the crowd. It was a celebration of courage, of overcoming fear, of embracing the unknown together. As the night deepened, the plaza became a whirlwind of color and light, a testament to the strength found in unity. Vexar glanced at Tithra and the child, their faces glowing with happiness. They had all come so far, transforming their fears into something powerful and beautiful. In that moment, Vexar knew that they had begun a new chapter, not just for themselves, but for the entire city. They were no longer bound by fear. They were a community filled with courage, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Together, Vexar whispered to himself, feeling the energy of the night surging through him. Together, we can face anything. The dance continued, the music enveloping them in its embrace as the guardians joined in the celebration. Vexar felt a sense of hope swelling within him, knowing that they had truly awakened something profound, a connection that would last long after the night ended. As the stars twinkled overhead, he knew that this was only the beginning. The city had transformed, and so. The dawn broke over the city with a promise of renewal, the sun casting golden rays across the vibrant tapestry that adorned the plaza. Vexar woke to the sounds of laughter and the soft chatter of early risers, the energy of the previous night still lingering in the air. He stepped out of his small dwelling, feeling a sense of purpose pulse through him. They had faced their fears and united as a community, but now came the challenge of maintaining that unity and fostering understanding. As he made his way to the plaza, he noticed groups of people gathering, animated discussions taking place about the tapestry. Vexar smiled, the sight of his fellow citizens actively engaging with one another filling him with hope. Their stories, woven into that vibrant fabric, had created a bond that he sensed would only deepen with time. "Good morning, Vexar," Tithra called out, waving from a cluster of people who were still admiring the tapestry. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Isn't it beautiful? People are already brainstorming ways to expand our message of unity." "Absolutely," Vexar replied, joining her. "I can feel the energy here. It's like the city is alive with possibility." A young girl approached them, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Can we make more tapestries? Can I add my story too?" she asked, her voice bright with excitement. "Of course," Vexar replied, kneeling to meet her gaze. "Every story matters. This tapestry is only the beginning." As more people joined the conversation, Vexar felt a sense of urgency wash over him. They had sparked a fire of unity, but what if the winds of change threatened to extinguish it? He glanced at the horizon, where dark clouds were beginning to gather. A storm was approaching. "Tithra," he said, his voice low, "do you sense that something is coming? The sky doesn't feel right." She followed his gaze, frowning slightly. "You're right. We should stay vigilant. We can't let anything disrupt the momentum we've built." Suddenly, a commotion erupted on the other side of the plaza. Vexar turned to see a group of people rushing toward them, faces pale with fear. As they drew closer, he could hear snippets of their conversation, frantic words that sent a chill down his spine. "The Guardians! They're gone!" someone shouted, their voice trembling. "What do you mean gone?" Tithra asked, her tone sharp with concern. "They just vanished. One moment they were there, and the next, nothing," a man gasped, breathless. Vexar felt a knot form in his stomach. The Guardians had been a constant presence, their energy a source of comfort and strength. If they were indeed gone, it would leave a void that could easily be filled with fear and uncertainty. "Gather everyone," he instructed, taking charge. "We need to discuss what's happening and how we can respond." The crowd began to coalesce, fear palpable in the air. Vexar stood at the center, Tithra by his side, as he faced the assembly. "Listen," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We've just begun to forge a new path together. We can't let fear overtake us. We must remain united, even in the face of uncertainty." As murmurs swept through the crowd, Tithra stepped forward, her tone firm. "The Guardians have been our partners. If they've vanished, it's up to us to figure out why. We've faced our fears before, we can do it again." "Do you think they left because of us?" a woman in the crowd asked, her voice shaky. "Did we anger them?" "No," Vexar replied, shaking his head. We've shown them that we are willing to embrace our fears and work together. If they are gone, it may be for a reason we don't yet understand. We must remain strong and not let panic guide our actions." As Vexar spoke, he noticed the dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. A low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, amplifying the tension in the air. He could feel the anxiety building within the crowd, a storm of emotions mirroring the storm brewing in the sky. "We need to stay proactive," Tithra urged, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Let's form search parties and look for the Guardians. They might be in trouble." The crowd nodded, determination hardening their expressions. Vexar felt a surge of hope. They were not letting fear control them. "I'll lead a group to the outskirts of the city," he announced. "Tithra, can you coordinate efforts here? Make sure everyone knows where to go and what to look for." "Absolutely," she replied, her voice steady. "Let's gather supplies and set out quickly. We'll need to cover as much ground as possible." As Vexar and Tithra organized the crowd into teams, the tension in the air shifted slightly. People began to focus, their fear turning into a determination to uncover the truth. Vexar could see the spark of courage igniting once more. Once the groups were formed, Vexar took a moment to address his own team, a mix of individuals who had shared their stories at the celebration. "We're going to search for signs of the Guardians. Look for any disturbances in the energy around us, any places where they might have been." "Got it," a young man replied, his voice firm. "We'll be their eyes and ears." As they set out toward the edge of the city, the atmosphere became charged with urgency. The storm clouds continued to gather, and the air grew thick with anticipation. Vexar could feel a strange energy pulsing beneath his feet, as if the very ground were alive with uncertainty. "Stay close," he instructed, leading the way. "Keep your senses open." They moved quickly, scanning their surroundings for anything unusual. As they reached the outskirts, the once familiar landscape seemed different. Trees swayed eerily, and the wind carried an unsettling silence, as if nature itself were holding its breath. Suddenly, Vexar spotted something unusual, a shimmering light flickering in the distance. "Over there," he pointed, leading his team toward the glow. As they approached, the light intensified, revealing a clearing surrounded by towering trees. In the center stood an intricate circle of stones, pulsating with a radiant energy. Vexar's heart raced. This was no ordinary sight. "What is this place?" a woman whispered, awe and trepidation mingling in her voice. "I don't know," Vexar replied, stepping closer, "but it feels significant." The energy surrounding the circle was almost tangible, vibrating with a strange frequency that resonated within him. Vexar felt drawn to it, as if it were calling to him. Suddenly, a voice broke through the silence, echoing from the stones. "Vexar." He jumped back, startled. "Who's there?" "It is I, Ilarion," the voice responded, its tone deep and melodic. "I am one of the Guardians." "Where are you?" Vexar asked, scanning the clearing for any sign of the Guardian's form. "We are trapped between realms," Ilarion explained, the voice reverberating from the stones. "A dark force has stirred, threatening to breach the barrier between our worlds." "What can we do?" Vexar's heart raced. "We can't leave you there." "You must unite your people," Ilarion instructed, urgency lacing the words. "Only through the power of your collective courage can the balance be restored. Seek the heart of the storm and confront the darkness that has arisen." "Where is the heart of the storm?" Vexar asked, determination hardening his resolve. "Follow the energy that resonates with your fear," Ilarion replied. "It will lead you. But beware the darkness preys on your doubts. You must remain united and focused." The voice began to fade, the light of the stones dimming. "We will be with you, guiding you from afar. Remember, you are stronger together." "Wait!" Vexar shouted, desperate to hold on to the connection. "We will do this." But the light extinguished, leaving the clearing in shadow. Vexar turned to his team, eyes wide with urgency. "We have to go. The darkness is rising, and we need to confront it together." His team nodded, their faces set with determination. "What do we do next?" a young woman asked, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "We follow the energy," Vexar instructed. "We'll make our way toward the storm and find the source of this darkness. But we must stick together, no matter what we encounter." As they moved back toward the city, the winds picked up, whipping through the trees and sending leaves swirling around them. Vexar could feel the tension building, a sense of foreboding hanging in the air like a thick fog. "We need to be prepared for anything," he warned, glancing at the group. "If this darkness is as powerful as Ilarion said, it will test our resolve." With each step, the atmosphere grew heavier. The sky above them darkened, thunder rumbling ominously in the distance. Vexar felt his heart race, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. They were on the precipice of something monumental, and he had to keep them focused. As they approached the city limits, they could see the storm gathering in the distance, dark clouds roiling and swirling like a living entity. Flashes of lightning light the sky, casting eerie shadows across the landscape. "Look," one of the... As Vexar and his team reached the edge of the city, the intensity of the storm loomed before them, a swirling mass of dark clouds crackling with energy. The air was electric, vibrating with an unsettling mix of fear and determination. Each flash of lightning lit their path, revealing the anxious faces of his companions, reflecting the weight of the impending confrontation. "Stay close," Vexar urged, glancing back to gauge their readiness. "We can't afford to lose anyone in this." The young woman who had spoken earlier, Mira, nodded, her eyes sharp with resolve. "We're with you, Vexar. Whatever happens, we face it together." With a deep breath, Vexar took a step forward, the ground beneath him rumbling ominously. They approached the heart of the storm, a palpable sense of dread coiling around them like a serpent. He could feel the darkness pushing against his mind, whispering fears that clawed at his resolve. As they entered the storm's domain, visibility diminished, swallowed by the swirling winds and sheets of rain. The temperature dropped sharply, sending chills down Vexar's spine. This was no ordinary tempest. It was a manifestation of their collective fears, fueled by the very essence of doubt that had plagued them. "Remember Ilarion's words," he called out, raising his voice against the howling winds. "We must unite our strength." The group huddled together, finding a semblance of comfort in their shared presence. As they moved deeper into the storm, flashes of lightning revealed glimpses of dark shapes lurking in the shadows. Vexar's heart raced as he caught sight of them, shadowy figures that writhed and twisted, their forms indistinct yet menacing. "They're here," someone shouted, panic creeping into their voice. "Stay calm," Vexar commanded, his own fear threatening to surface. "They can sense our doubt. We have to stay focused." The shadows surged toward them, an army of darkness, their movements chaotic yet deliberate. Vexar felt their presence pressing in, threatening to engulf them. The whispers of fear grew louder, echoing in his mind, trying to fracture their unity. "You're not strong enough," one shadow taunted, its voice a chilling whisper. "You're bound by your weaknesses." Vexar clenched his fists, summoning every ounce of courage he could muster. "We are strong," he shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We have faced our fears and embraced our stories. Together, we rise." The shadows recoiled for a moment, their movement hesitating. Vexar seized the opportunity, pushing forward. "We will not let you divide us." Mira stepped beside him, her eyes fierce. "You have no power over us," she added, her voice ringing with conviction. "We've learned to confront our fears. You can't take that away." As they spoke, the group began to resonate with a shared energy, each individual's courage intertwining to form a protective barrier against the shadows. The air around them shimmered, like their resolve. The shadows hesitated, their forms flickering as if unsure of how to proceed. Vexar felt the tide shifting. They were pushing back, fueled by the strength of their unity. "We can do this," he urged, his voice steady. "Together, we stand." As if in response, the storm surged, winds howling and rain pelting down with renewed fury. Lightning struck closer, light the clearing where they stood. Vexar felt the energy surge within him, and he reached out, drawing the others closer. "Let's channel our stories," he suggested, glancing at each member of the group. "Let's remind the shadows of our strength." One by one, they began to speak, their voices blending into a powerful chorus. Mira shared her journey of overcoming self-doubt, how she had once been paralyzed by fear, but found strength in connection. Another member spoke of childhood fears, how embracing vulnerability had transformed their life. With each story shared, the shadows recoiled further, their whispers growing fainter. Vexar could feel their grip on reality loosening. "We are not alone," he declared, the energy building around them. "We have each other." As they spoke, the shadows began to take on a more defined shape, revealing faces contorted with fear and sorrow. Vexar recognized them. The shadows were not just embodiments of doubt. They were reflections of the fears they had all faced. "Look!" Tithra shouted, pointing. "They are us." The realization struck Vexar like a bolt of lightning. The shadows represented the very fears they had fought against, manifestations of their own insecurities. They were not evil, they were simply lost, seeking understanding. "We can help them," he shouted, a sense of clarity washing over him. "We can show them the way." "Together," the group echoed, their voices harmonizing as they reached out, not to fight, but to connect. Vexar stepped forward, taking a bold stance against the swirling darkness. "You are not alone," he called out, his voice booming through the storm. "We've faced you before, and we've learned from our fears. You can find strength in unity." The shadows hesitated, their movements slowing. One stepped forward, its form flickering uncertainly. "We are lost," it admitted, its voice a mere whisper. "We only wanted to protect ourselves." "Protecting yourself doesn't mean hiding in darkness," Vexar replied, his heart racing. "You can find light, just as we did. Join us." The energy in the air shifted, and the shadows began to converge, their forms coalescing into a swirling mass of uncertainty. "How?" another shadow asked, its voice trembling. "We only know fear." "Fear is not the end. It can be a beginning," Vexar said, stepping closer. "Embrace it. Let us show you how to transform it into strength." As he spoke, the group united, their combined energy pulsing in rhythm with the storm. The shadows hesitated, drawn to the light of their courage. Slowly, they began to emerge from the darkness, stepping forward to join the collective. "Together," Vexar urged, reaching out. "Let's find the light within." The shadows swirled around them, uncertainty still present, but lessening with each heartbeat. One by one, they began to merge with the group, the dark tendrils of fear dissipating in the presence of collective strength. As the last of the shadows faded, the storm around them began to shift. The winds calmed, the rain lessened, and the darkness that had threatened to consume them gave way to a soft, warm glow. Vexar turned to his companions, their faces light by the new light. "We did it," he breathed, disbelief mingling with relief. "We helped them find their strength." Tithra smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "We faced our fears and transformed them. This is what unity looks like." As the storm cleared, a new sense of tranquility settled over the landscape. The once dark clouds parted, revealing a brilliant blue sky, the sunlight streaming down like a blessing. Suddenly, the figures of the guardians began to materialize in the air above them, shimmering with radiant energy. Vexar felt his heart leap as Ilarion stepped forward, its form ethereal and bright. "You have done well, Vexar," Ilarion said, its voice resonating like music in the air. "You faced the darkness not with weapons, but with understanding. You have shown that fear can be transformed into strength when shared." Vexar felt a swell of emotion, pride coursing through him. "We couldn't have done it without each other. We learned that unity is our greatest power." Ilarion nodded, its light form pulsing gently. "You have forged a bond that transcends fear. Remember this lesson, for it will guide you through the challenges yet to come." The guardians swirled around the group, their light enveloping them in warmth. Vexar felt the energy of hope and courage resonating through him, a promise of brighter days ahead. As the last remnants of the storm faded, the city came alive once more. Vexar could see people emerging from their homes, drawn by the light and energy radiating from the plaza. Faces that had once been clouded with doubt were now filled with wonder and relief. "Let's go," Vexar urged, leading his group back toward the heart of the city. "They need to hear what happened." As they made their way through the streets, the atmosphere shifted from trepidation to excitement. The stories of their struggle against the darkness began to spill forth, weaving a narrative of triumph and unity. When they reached the plaza, the gathered crowd erupted into cheers, eyes wide with awe as they beheld the shimmering figures of the guardians overhead. Vexar felt a wave of exhilaration wash over him. They had transformed fear into hope, and the energy in the air was palpable. "Let's share our stories," Vexar called out, stepping forward to address the crowd. "We faced the darkness together, and we emerged stronger." As the crowd quieted, he felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Each of you carries a piece of our journey. We have learned that fear can be a teacher, guiding us toward strength and unity. Let's celebrate this moment." The crowd erupted in applause, their spirits lifted by the shared experience. Vexar glanced at Tithra, her eyes shining with pride. They had done it, they had faced the shadows and emerged victorious. As the sun began to set, casting a warm, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet as Vexar stood at the heart of the plaza, the energy of the crowd pulsing around him. It was a moment of triumph, a celebration of unity that he had only dared to dream of. Yet, beneath the elation lay a sense of urgency, a realization that their victory was just the beginning of a much larger journey. Tithra stepped up beside him, her eyes scanning the gathered crowd, which now buzzed with excitement and curiosity. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice steady yet laced with anticipation. Vexar took a deep breath, feeling the weight of leadership settle more firmly on his shoulders. "We need to channel this energy into something sustainable. This isn't just a one-time victory, it's a foundation for a new future." "Agreed," Tithra replied, her gaze firm. "But how do we ensure that the unity we've forged doesn't wane? We need a plan of vision for what comes next." As the crowd settled, Vexar raised his hands to gather attention. "Everyone, we have faced the shadows together and emerged stronger. But this journey is just beginning. We have stories to share, lessons to learn, and a community to build." Applause erupted from the crowd, the energy infectious. Vexar felt invigorated, but he also sensed the challenge ahead. "Let's create a space for our stories, an ongoing tapestry that represents who we are and what we can become." Tithra beamed, her eyes sparkling. "We can gather threads of our experiences, our dreams, and weave them into something beautiful, something that reflects our unity and growth." The crowd murmured with excitement, the idea taking root in their minds. Vexar could see the spark igniting within them. They were hungry for connection, eager to share their journeys. "Let's divide into groups," Vexar continued, his voice rising above the chatter. "Each group can focus on different aspects of our community, our fears, our hopes, our dreams for the future. We'll weave these stories into a living tapestry that grows and evolves with us." Cheers erupted once more, the enthusiasm palpable. Vexar watched as people began to cluster together, excitedly discussing their ideas. He could feel the energy in the air shifting from fear to hope, a palpable sense of purpose settling over the plaza. As groups formed and discussions flourished, Vexar felt a deep satisfaction swell within him. They were no longer just individuals burdened by fear. They had transformed into a community ready to embrace their stories and share their journeys. "Let's gather materials," Tithra called out, her voice ringing with excitement. "We can use everything: old fabric, threads, anything that can represent our stories." "Right," Vexar agreed, his heart racing. "We'll need a central space to work on the tapestry. Let's transform this plaza into a creative hub." As the crowd began to disperse, gathering materials and forming teams, Vexar took a moment to step back and absorb the scene. Laughter and conversation filled the air, vibrant energy crackling like electricity. For the first time, he felt the weight of fear lifting, replaced by a sense of belonging and purpose. Suddenly, a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Vexar." He turned to find Mira approaching, her expression thoughtful. "I was wondering, how do you feel about everything that just happened? About the shadows?" Vexar considered her question, the memories of the storm still fresh in his mind. "It was overwhelming," he admitted, "but it taught me something crucial. Fear is not something we should fight against. It's a part of us, and we can learn from it." Mira nodded, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "That makes sense. I felt like we were confronting a part of ourselves, a reflection of our doubts. I never thought fear could be something we could embrace." "Exactly," Vexar said, feeling a surge of gratitude for her insight. "When we acknowledge our fears and share them, they lose their power over us. It's about transformation." "I think this tapestry will symbolize that transformation," she replied, glancing at the crowd with newfound determination. "It will remind us of our journey, our growth, and how far we've come." "Let's make sure everyone's stories are represented," Vexar added, a vision forming in his mind. "We can include not only the struggles, but also the moments of triumph, the light that broke through the darkness." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the plaza, Vexar felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would create something beautiful together, a tapestry woven from their shared experiences. But they also needed to ensure it served as a beacon for the future, a reminder that they could confront any darkness that came their way. Hours passed as people gathered materials, sharing laughter and stories. Vexar moved among the groups, encouraging collaboration and creative expression. He watched as individuals began to unveil their stories, each thread representing a unique journey. Tithra was deep in conversation with a group of artists, discussing colors and designs that would capture the essence of their experiences. Vexar joined them, excitement bubbling within him. "What if we create a central motif that symbolizes our unity?" he suggested. "Something that ties all our individual stories together." "Like a heart or a tree," one artist proposed, her hands gesturing animatedly. "Both represent growth and connection." "Great idea," Tithra exclaimed. "A tree of life, with each branch representing a different story. The roots can be our fears, grounding us, while the leaves symbolize our hopes and dreams." The group nodded enthusiastically, ideas bouncing between them like sparks. Vexar felt a surge of excitement. The tapestry was taking shape, becoming a living representation of their collective journey. As night fell, the plaza transformed into a hub of creativity. Strings of light the area, casting a warm glow over the vibrant fabrics and materials scattered about. Laughter and music filled the air as people began to share their stories, weaving them into the tapestry. Vexar stepped back, watching as each individual contributed their piece, small patches of fabric adorned with drawings, words, and symbols that held deep meaning. He felt a sense of pride swell within him, knowing they were creating something extraordinary together. After some time, Tithra called for attention, her voice ringing through the plaza. "Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've created so far. Who wants to share their story?" A young boy stepped forward, his face light by the soft glow of the lights. "I wrote about my fear of being alone," he said shyly, holding up a piece of fabric. "But I learned that I have friends who care about me, and I'm not alone anymore." The crowd erupted in applause, encouraging him with cheers. Vexar felt a wave of emotion wash over him. This was the essence of their community, the willingness to support and uplift one another. One by one, people shared their stories, each contributing to the tapestry's growing narrative. Tales of triumph over adversity, moments of vulnerability transformed into strength, and dreams for a future filled with hope filled the air, weaving a rich tapestry of human experience. As the night wore on, Vexar took a moment to step away from the festivities, his heart full. He found a quiet corner of the plaza and gazed at the tapestry taking shape, its colors vibrant against the night sky. Suddenly, he felt a familiar presence beside him. Hilarion stood there, glowing softly in the moonlight, its ethereal form emanating warmth. "You have done well, Vexar," the guardian said, its voice soothing. "Thank you, Hilarion," Vexar replied, feeling a rush of gratitude. "We're trying to create something meaningful, a reminder of our journey." Hilarion nodded, its light essence shimmering. "What you create here will serve as a beacon for others, a testament to the strength found in unity. But remember, this is just the beginning. The darkness may return in new forms, and you must be prepared." Vexar felt a chill run through him at the reminder, but he also felt a sense of determination. "We've learned that we can face it together. Our stories will guide us." "Indeed," Hilarion said, its voice resonating with wisdom. "But do not forget the importance of listening. The world is filled with voices yearning to be heard. Every story adds to the tapestry of existence." "I won't forget," Vexar promised, feeling the weight of responsibility. "We will continue to share our experiences, to grow and learn from one another." Hilarion smiled, its light brightening. "Then you are on the right path. Embrace the journey ahead, and remember that you are never alone." With that, the guardian began to fade, leaving Vexar with a sense of purpose and clarity. He returned to the bustling plaza, the sounds of laughter and creativity surrounding him. As he rejoined his friends, he felt a renewed sense of hope. The tapestry was not just a collection of stories, it was a promise of a future built on connection, understanding, and resilience. "Let's keep going," he called out to the crowd, the excitement surging through him. "We have so much more to create." The night stretched on, vibrant and alive with possibilities. As they wove their stories into the tapestry, Vexar knew that they were not just crafting a work of art. They were laying the groundwork for a new beginning, one filled with hope and the promise of brighter tomorrows. The following days in the plaza became a whirlwind of creativity and connection. The tapestry, an embodiment of their collective experiences, grew larger and more intricate with each passing hour. Vexar felt invigorated as he watched people pour their hearts into the project, transforming fears into vibrant stories woven with threads of hope. Under Tithra's guidance, each group was assigned a section of the tapestry, dedicated to different themes: personal growth, overcoming fears, dreams for the future, and even the bonds of friendship that held them together. With each new patch added, the tapestry came alive, shimmering with stories that echoed through the hearts of those who worked on it. Vexar found himself gravitating toward the group focusing on personal growth. Mira and a few others had created beautiful patches depicting the struggles they had faced, each stitch a representation of their journey. One patch featured a giant phoenix rising from the ashes, symbolizing rebirth and resilience. "I love this," Vexar exclaimed as he marveled at the artistry. "It captures the essence of our transformation perfectly." Mira smiled, her face light by the afternoon sun. "It's a reminder that we can always rise above our fears. We just have to believe in ourselves." As they continued to weave their stories into the fabric, Vexar felt a growing sense of purpose. He began to understand the importance of their mission. This tapestry would not only symbolize their journey, but also serve as a guide for others who might face their own shadows in the future. On the fourth day, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the plaza, Tithra gathered everyone around. "Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've created so far," she said, her voice steady and warm. "Each of you has added something unique to this tapestry. What does it mean to you?" One by one, people stepped forward, sharing their thoughts. A young woman spoke about how the tapestry represented her journey from isolation to connection, while an older man recounted the stories of resilience passed down through generations. Each voice added depth to the growing narrative, enriching their shared experience. Vexar watched, captivated by the diversity of stories being shared. The tapestry was becoming more than just a collection of fabric. It was a living document of their collective spirit. But as the days turned into a week, a subtle shift began to emerge. Vexar noticed that some individuals were growing quieter, their enthusiasm dimming as whispers of uncertainty circulated among the crowd. The shadows they had faced together had not vanished. They lurked at the edges of their consciousness, threatening to resurface. Tithra, ever perceptive, sensed the change as well. One evening, as they worked late into the night, she pulled Vexar aside. "I can feel it, Vexar. There's a tension building, and I'm worried it might affect our progress. We need to address this before it spirals out of control." Vexar nodded, a knot tightening in his stomach. "You're right. We've been so focused on creating that we might have overlooked the emotional toll of our experiences. We need to confront these lingering fears head-on." "Perhaps we can hold a gathering," Tithra suggested. "A space for everyone to voice their concerns, to acknowledge what's still troubling them. We can't ignore the shadows lurking beneath the surface." Vexar agreed, feeling a sense of urgency. "Let's do it tomorrow evening. We'll call everyone together and encourage openness. If we don't confront this now, it might undermine everything we've built." That night, as Vexar lay in bed, he felt a mix of anxiety and determination. He knew that facing the shadows was essential, but he was uncertain about how to facilitate such an intimate and vulnerable conversation. The next evening, the plaza was transformed into a space for sharing. Candles flickered along the edges, casting a warm glow over the gathered crowd. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation, a palpable mix of excitement and apprehension. Vexar stood at the center, his heart racing as he addressed the crowd. "Thank you all for coming. We've created something beautiful together, but it's essential to remember that our journey doesn't end here. We need to address the fears that still linger within us. This is a safe space, a chance to share what's been troubling you." He took a deep breath, sensing the hesitation among the crowd. "I'll start," he said, forcing himself to step forward. "After all we've achieved, I still carry doubts. I worry that the shadows we faced might return, and I fear I won't be strong enough to protect our community." The vulnerability of his words hung in the air, and for a moment, silence reigned. Then, one voice rose from the crowd. Mira stepped forward, her expression fierce. "I feel that way too, Vexar. Despite our victories, I sometimes feel the weight of my past. The fear of failure still lingers, and I wonder if I'm enough." "Me too," another voice echoed, a young man who had joined the group late in their journey. "I've struggled with anxiety for so long, and even though I've found a sense of belonging here, I'm terrified of losing it. What if I disappoint everyone?" As others began to share their own fears, the atmosphere shifted from apprehension to solidarity. One by one, they expressed their vulnerabilities, concerns about acceptance, the pressure of expectations, and the haunting shadows of their pasts. Vexar felt a sense of relief wash over him. This was the catharsis they needed, the acknowledgement that fear was a part of their collective journey. They were no longer just a group weaving a tapestry. They were a community confronting their shared experiences together. When the sharing subsided, Tithra stepped forward, her voice steady. "Thank you all for being brave enough to speak your truths. We can't ignore the shadows, but we can learn to navigate them together. Our fears don't define us. They are threads in the tapestry of who we are." Vexar nodded in agreement. "Each fear we face is an opportunity for growth. Let's commit to supporting one another in this process. We'll share our fears as openly as we've shared our triumphs, ensuring that we can face whatever comes next together." The crowd began to buzz with renewed energy, the atmosphere shifting once more. They had confronted the shadows lurking beneath the surface, and by acknowledging their fears, they had found a path forward. As the evening wore on, Vexar felt a sense of hope blooming within him. The tapestry had taken on new meaning, representing not only their journeys of triumph, but also their willingness to face the shadows together. In the days that followed, they began to weave their fears into the tapestry, each patch representing a vulnerability transformed into strength. They learned to express their emotions openly, sharing stories that intertwined with the fabric, patches of fear becoming threads of resilience. Vexar noticed a change within himself, too. By sharing his fears, he felt lighter, more connected to the community. The lingering doubt began to dissipate as he realized that they were not alone in their struggles. One afternoon, while working on the tapestry, Mira approached him with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking about our journey," she said, her fingers deftly stitching a new patch. "We've faced so much darkness, yet we continue to find light. It's incredible how far we've come. It is, Vexar agreed, his heart swelling with pride. But it's also a reminder that our journey isn't over. We'll always have shadows to confront, but we have the strength to face them. Mira nodded, her eyes reflecting determination. And we'll keep weaving our stories together, ensuring that we support each other through every challenge. This tapestry is just the beginning. As they continued to work, Vexar felt a sense of urgency building within him. They needed to prepare for whatever lay ahead. The shadows would return in new forms, and he wanted to ensure that their community was equipped to face them. That evening, as the sun set over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the plaza, Vexar gathered the group once more. We've come so far, but I believe we must prepare for the future. We need to think beyond just the tapestry. We should cultivate a space for ongoing support. What do you mean? Tithra asked, curiosity sparking in her eyes. I propose we create a council, Vexar said, feeling the weight of his words. A group dedicated to facilitating conversations, offering support, and ensuring that we remain united. We need to be proactive in facing our fears, rather than reactive. The crowd murmured, the idea taking root. Mira spoke up, her voice firm. I think it's a fantastic idea. If we have a council, we can create structured discussions and workshops that focus on personal growth, fear management, and building resilience. Vexar felt a rush of excitement. Exactly, we can invite everyone to share their ideas and suggestions. This council will be a reflection of our collective strength and a resource for all of us. As the evening progressed, the conversation flowed freely, ideas bouncing around like sparks. They brainstormed roles for the council, focusing on different areas: mental health, community events, and creative expression. The energy in the plaza grew palpable, a sense of purpose igniting within each individual. When they concluded the meeting, Vexar felt an overwhelming sense of hope. They were not just building a tapestry, they were crafting a community, a network of support that would help them navigate whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun set, casting the plaza in shades of gold and orange, Vexar stood at the center. The following weeks transformed the plaza into a vibrant hub of activity and connection. The council, now formed, became a beacon of hope and support for everyone in the community. Each member brought unique perspectives and skills, fostering a collective spirit of resilience. Vexar felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing they were building something meaningful together. The council held regular meetings, creating an open forum where everyone was encouraged to share ideas, concerns, and suggestions. They organized workshops focusing on mental health, personal growth, and creative expression, allowing individuals to explore their feelings in safe spaces. One crisp morning, Vexar stood before the council, a sense of anticipation coursing through him. I think it's time we organize our first community event, he proposed, his voice steady. We need something that brings everyone together, celebrating our achievements and acknowledging the journey we've undertaken. Tithra nodded, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. A festival sounds perfect. We can showcase our tapestry, share our stories, and invite everyone to participate in creative activities. It'll be a way to celebrate our unity. Absolutely, Mira added, her fingers dancing over her sketchbook. We could have art stations, storytelling corners, and even music. It'll be a great way to engage everyone and remind us of our strength. As the ideas flowed, the excitement in the room was palpable. They brainstormed logistics, activities, and how to involve the entire community in the planning. Each council member was assigned a specific role, ensuring everyone felt invested in the process. Over the next few weeks, the plaza buzzed with activity. People from all walks of life came together, helping to prepare for the festival. Vexar felt a swell of pride as he watched the community embrace this opportunity for connection. The tapestry was central to their preparations, its colors vibrant against the backdrop of shared stories and collective hope. As the festival day approached, Vexar noticed a renewed energy among the people. The plaza transformed into a lively festival ground adorned with colorful banners, stalls showcasing various crafts, and spaces dedicated to art and storytelling. Laughter echoed, filling the air with a sense of joy and anticipation. On the day of the festival, the sun rose bright and warm, lighting the plaza in golden light. Vexar stood at the entrance, welcoming people as they arrived. Friends hugged, families laughed, and newcomers looked around in awe, captivated by the vibrant atmosphere. "Welcome to our festival," Vexar called out, his heart racing with excitement. "Today, we celebrate our journey together, the strength we found in one another, and the stories that bind us." The crowd cheered, their voices a powerful chorus. Vexar felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but he embraced it wholeheartedly. This was their moment, a celebration of resilience and unity. Throughout the day, activities unfolded in every corner of the plaza. Children painted colorful murals, while adults shared stories around cozy fires. Tithra led a group in crafting workshops, encouraging participants to create small pieces of art that reflected their experiences. Vexar made his way through the festival, absorbing the laughter and joy around him. He paused at the storytelling corner, where Mira was captivating an audience with a tale of bravery and transformation. Her words danced in the air, weaving a magical tapestry of hope. Later, Vexar found himself in front of the tapestry they had worked on together. It hung proudly in the center of the plaza, a kaleidoscope of colors and stories. Each patch told a unique tale, intertwining their journeys into a collective narrative. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as Ilarion appeared, its ethereal form shimmering with light. Vexar felt a rush of warmth at the Guardian's presence. "I see you have gathered together to celebrate your strength," Ilarion said, its voice resonating softly. "This tapestry is not only a reflection of your journey, but also a beacon of hope for those who come after you." The crowd erupted into applause, the energy palpable. Vexar felt a swell of gratitude for Ilarion's guidance, knowing their journey was far from over. As the festival continued, he looked around at the faces lit by joy, realizing they were creating something truly special together. As evening fell, the atmosphere shifted, and the air was filled with a sense of anticipation. The council gathered around the tapestry, ready to share their stories and reflect on their journey. Tithra stepped forward, her voice strong. "Let us take a moment to acknowledge how far we've come. This tapestry represents not just our stories, but the connections we've forged along the way. Each thread is a testament to our resilience." Mira added, "Tonight, we invite each of you to share your own experiences. This is a safe space to voice your truths and celebrate the strength we find in vulnerability." One by one, individuals stepped forward to share their stories, their voices trembling with emotion. They spoke of fear, resilience, and the hope that emerged from their darkest moments. Each story wove itself into the fabric of the tapestry, reinforcing the bonds that held them together. As the night deepened, Vexar felt a surge of warmth in his heart. They had created not just a tapestry, but a living document of their shared journey. It was a reminder that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead together. But as the last story was shared and the applause faded, Vexar felt a lingering unease within him. The shadows that had haunted them still lingered, and he knew they would face new challenges in the future. They had achieved so much, but the journey was far from over. That night, as Vexar lay in bed, he pondered the stories they had shared. Each voice echoed in his mind, reminding him of the resilience they had cultivated together. But he also understood that the tapestry was not just about the past, it was about the future they were building. The following days were filled with reflection and preparation. Vexar met with the council to discuss the festival's impact and how they could continue to foster connection and support within the community. They recognized that the tapestry needed to evolve, just as they did. "We should consider regular storytelling events," Tithra suggested during one meeting. "This way, we can keep sharing our journeys and ensuring everyone feels heard. And we can organize workshops focusing on personal development," Mira added. "It'll help individuals continue to grow and learn from each other." Vexar nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. "We must be proactive in addressing our fears and uncertainties. The council can create resources and tools for people to navigate their challenges. We can't let the shadows take root again. As they planned, Vexar felt a growing sense of responsibility. He understood that their journey would require continuous effort and dedication. The tapestry would need to evolve alongside them, reflecting not only their triumphs, but also the challenges they would inevitably face. One afternoon, as he walked through the plaza, Vexar noticed a group of individuals gathered near the tapestry. They were deep in conversation, their expressions a mix of excitement and apprehension. Vexar approached them, curious. "What's happening?" he asked, joining the circle. One of the individuals, a woman named Lyra, turned to him. "We've been discussing the stories that still need to be told. Some of us have experienced trauma and pain, and we feel it's important to acknowledge those struggles too." Vexar felt a knot form in his stomach. "I understand. Those stories matter, and they need to be woven into the tapestry as well." Lyra nodded, her expression serious. "But we want to ensure that everyone feels safe sharing their experiences. We need to create a space where individuals can voice their pain without fear of judgment." Vexar felt a surge of determination. "We can hold a special event dedicated to these stories, a space where individuals can come together to share their struggles and find healing. It's important to honor every part of our journey." As the discussion continued, Vexar felt a sense of purpose solidifying within him. They would create a space that honored not just the triumphs, but also the pain that shaped their collective journey. The tapestry needed to reflect the whole picture, encompassing every thread of their existence. The following weeks were filled with planning and preparation for the special event. The council worked tirelessly to ensure that it would be a safe and supportive space for everyone. They reached out to individuals who had experienced trauma, encouraging them to share their stories if they felt comfortable. On the day of the event, the plaza was transformed once again. Soft lighting lit the area, creating a serene atmosphere. Vexar stood at the center, his heart racing with anticipation. He felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders, knowing the importance of what they were about to embark upon. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady. "Today, we honor the stories that have shaped us, the struggles that have tested our strength, and the pain that often remains unspoken. This is a safe space for sharing, healing, and finding connection." As the first individual stepped forward, Vexar felt a wave of emotion wash over him. The stories shared that day were raw and powerful, each voice adding a new layer to the tapestry. They spoke of loss, heartbreak, and trauma, but also of resilience, healing, and the power of community. With each story, Vexar witnessed the transformative power of vulnerability. The plaza became a sanctuary, a space where individuals could find solace in one another's experiences. Tears were shed, laughter erupted, and connections deepened as they embraced the entirety of their journey. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the plaza, Vexar felt a profound sense of gratitude. They had created something truly beautiful together, a tapestry that reflected. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the plaza, Vexar stood at the center, feeling the weight of emotion in the air. The stories shared during the event had woven a rich tapestry of vulnerability and healing, each thread a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He felt both overwhelmed and profoundly grateful to witness such openness. Lyra, who had been one of the first to share her story, approached him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Thank you for creating this space," she said, her voice soft but filled with conviction. "I've never felt more seen and understood." Vexar smiled warmly. "It was all of us together, Lyra. Your courage to speak up inspired so many. We're building something special here, a community that supports and uplifts one another." The crowd began to disperse, individuals lingering to talk and connect. But Vexar knew that the impact of the day would resonate far beyond the plaza's boundaries. They had opened a door to deeper healing and understanding, and he sensed that the process had only just begun. In the following days, the atmosphere in the plaza shifted. The stories shared had created a ripple effect, fostering deeper connections among community members. People began to seek each other out, forming bonds that transcended their individual experiences. The sense of isolation that many had felt slowly dissipated, replaced by a growing sense of belonging. Vexar found himself increasingly involved in facilitating conversations around mental health and resilience. He, alongside the council, organized follow-up workshops focused on healing practices and coping mechanisms. They invited professionals from various fields to guide discussions and provide tools for navigating personal challenges. One afternoon, as Vexar prepared for a workshop on mindfulness, he met with Tithra in the plaza. She was sketching ideas for a new art installation that would serve as a permanent reminder of their journey, a space for reflection and healing. "This installation will complement the tapestry beautifully," Tithra said, her eyes sparkling with creativity. "I envision it as a tranquil space filled with nature, where people can come to meditate and connect with their inner selves." Vexar nodded, inspired by her vision. "It should be a place where stories can be shared freely. Maybe we could incorporate elements of the tapestry into it, interactive panels where people can add their own stories or reflections." "That's a brilliant idea," Tithra exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can use the colors and patterns from the tapestry to create a vibrant yet serene environment." As they brainstormed ideas, Vexar felt a surge of hope. They were not just addressing the shadows, they were actively creating spaces for healing and growth. It was a tangible step toward a future where vulnerability was embraced, and fear no longer held power over them. The day of the mindfulness workshop arrived, and the plaza was filled with an air of anticipation. Vexar stood at the front, looking out at the gathering crowd. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice calm and reassuring. "Today, we're going to explore mindfulness and how it can help us navigate the challenges we face in our daily lives." He led the group through breathing exercises, encouraging them to connect with the present moment. As they moved through the practice, Vexar felt a sense of peace settle over the gathering. They were here, together, engaging in a shared experience that fostered connection and understanding. After the mindfulness exercises, Vexar opened the floor for discussion. "What insights did you gain during our practice? How can mindfulness help us in our journey?" Several hands shot up, eager voices sharing their thoughts. One woman spoke about the power of stillness and how it allowed her to confront her fears. A young man shared how mindfulness had helped him manage his anxiety, creating a sense of control in moments of chaos. As the conversation flowed, Vexar felt a profound sense of gratitude. Each person's insights added depth to their collective understanding, reinforcing the belief that they were stronger together. The shadows of their past were no longer looming. They were being transformed into threads of healing. After the workshop, Vexar gathered with the council to reflect on the day. "I think we're onto something," he said, his heart brimming with excitement. "These workshops are helping us foster connection and support. We need to keep this momentum going." Tithra nodded, her eyes sparkling. "I agree. We should consider making these workshops a regular occurrence, perhaps even inviting guest speakers who specialize in various healing modalities." "Definitely," Mira added. "We can explore different themes: resilience, creativity, self-love. Each session can be an opportunity for growth." As they discussed potential topics and guest speakers, Vexar felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. They were not just building a community, they were nurturing a living organism, a space that would continue to evolve and adapt. In the weeks that followed, the plaza became a thriving hub of healing and creativity. Workshops flourished, each one drawing more participants than the last. Individuals from neighboring communities began to join, curious about the support network they had cultivated. The ripple effect of their journey was spreading far and wide. However, amidst the blossoming connections, Vexar couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of a new challenge. The shadows they had confronted were not gone. They were merely transformed. It was as if they had unearthed deeper layers of fear and uncertainty, waiting to be addressed. One evening, as Vexar prepared for another workshop, he noticed Lyra sitting quietly in the corner, her expression distant. Concerned, he approached her. "Lyra, is everything okay?" She looked up, her eyes filled with emotion. "I've been thinking about my story and how it's impacted me. I thought I was healing, but some days it feels like the shadows are creeping back in." Vexar felt a pang of empathy. It's okay to feel that way. Healing isn't linear, it's a journey with ups and downs. It's important to acknowledge those feelings and find support. "I know," she said softly, "but sometimes I worry that I'm burdening others with my pain. I want to be strong, to contribute positively, but I feel like I'm still carrying so much." Vexar knelt beside her, his heart heavy with understanding. Strength doesn't mean you have to carry everything alone. It's okay to lean on others, to allow yourself to be vulnerable. That's what this community is, for supporting each other through every stage of the journey. Lyra nodded, a small smile breaking through her uncertainty. "Thank you, Vexar. I appreciate your kindness. I just need to remember that I don't have to go through this alone." As Vexar rejoined the group for the workshop, he reflected on Lyra's words. It was clear that even amidst the growth they had experienced, shadows still lingered. They had created spaces for healing, but it was essential to continuously remind one another that vulnerability was not a weakness. It was a vital part of the journey. Later that evening, Vexar gathered the council for an impromptu meeting. "I think we need to create a dedicated space for individuals to share their struggles," he proposed. "A support group where people can come together to discuss their fears and challenges openly." Mira nodded thoughtfully. "That's a great idea. We can provide a safe environment where individuals can feel heard and validated. It's important that everyone knows they're not alone." Tithra added, "We could structure it similarly to the storytelling events, allowing each person to share their experiences at their own pace. This could be a powerful way to foster healing." Vexar felt a surge of determination. "Let's launch the support group next week. We can promote it within our community and encourage those who need it to join." In the days leading up to the inaugural support group meeting, Vexar felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He understood the significance of this initiative. It was a chance to create a deeper level of connection and understanding. But he also knew that confronting fears and struggles could be challenging. The evening of the first meeting arrived, and the plaza was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation. Vexar stood at the front, looking out at the gathering crowd. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady yet warm. "This is a safe space for sharing our struggles, fears, and experiences. Here, you can express yourself freely, knowing that you are surrounded by understanding hearts." As individuals began to share their stories, Vexar felt the weight of emotion in the air. Each voice added a layer of authenticity, weaving a complex narrative of vulnerability and resilience. The stories ranged from struggles with anxiety to experiences of loss, each one resonating deeply within the hearts of those present. Vexar facilitated the discussion, ensuring that everyone had the opportunity to speak. He encouraged participants to share their feelings, reminding them that healing often required facing the shadows head-on. With each story shared, he witnessed the power of vulnerability, creating a sense of unity within the group. As the evening wore on, Vexar felt a growing sense of hope. They were not just sharing their struggles, they were fostering a culture of compassion and understanding. The support group became a lifeline, allowing individuals to express their fears without judgment. At the end of the meeting, Vexar encouraged everyone to reflect on the experience. "Thank you all for being so brave tonight," he said, his heart full. "This group is a testament to our collective strength. Together, we can face our fears and support one another on our journeys." As the group dispersed, Vexar felt a sense of fulfillment. They had created a space where vulnerability was embraced and struggles were honored. But he also, as the days turned into weeks, the support group became a cornerstone of their community. Each meeting fostered deeper connections, and participants expressed gratitude for the space where they could confront their fears. Vexar felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that they were creating an environment of healing and acceptance. Yet, a lingering unease tugged at his heart. One evening, as Vexar prepared for the next support group session, He found himself lost in thought. The stories shared had been powerful, but he couldn't shake the feeling that some shadows loomed larger than others. He recalled Lyra's vulnerability, her admission that she still struggled with the weight of her past. He wondered how many others felt similarly trapped, unable to fully escape their pain. Later that week, as he walked through the plaza, he spotted Lyra sitting alone on a bench, her head bent in thought. Approaching her, he gently asked, "Mind if I join you?" She looked up, a faint smile breaking through her contemplative expression. "Of course, Vexar. I was just thinking about our last support group." "Me too," he admitted, taking a seat beside her. "I've been reflecting on the stories shared, especially yours. It's okay to still be on that journey, you know." Lyra sighed, her shoulders sagging. "I thought sharing my story would make me feel lighter, but I still feel weighed down by it. Some days, I feel like I'm taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back." "That's completely normal," Vexar replied, his voice filled with understanding. "Healing isn't linear. There are days when we feel stronger and others when the shadows seem to loom larger. The important thing is that you're not alone in this." "Thank you for saying that," Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I can lean on the community, but sometimes it feels like my pain is too heavy for anyone else to carry." "Your pain is valid, and sharing it doesn't burden others, it invites connection," Vexar reassured her. "We're all in this together. Let's talk about how we can support you further." As they spoke, Vexar could see the flicker of hope in Lyra's eyes. He felt a growing conviction that they needed to delve deeper into these emotional complexities. Their community had created a strong foundation of support, but it was time to confront the shadows that remained unaddressed. The following day, Vexar gathered the council to discuss their observations. "I've been thinking about our support group," he began, looking at each member. "We've created a wonderful space for sharing, but I believe we need to go further. We need to address the roots of our pain, not just the symptoms." Mira leaned forward, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" "I propose we organize a series of deep dive workshops focused on specific themes," Vexar explained. "Each session can center around particular challenges, like trauma, loss, or anxiety, allowing individuals to explore those feelings more profoundly." Tithra nodded, her artistic spirit alight with inspiration. "We could incorporate creative elements to art, music, and writing, giving people different ways to express their emotions." "That's an excellent idea," Mira said, excitement bubbling in her voice. "We could even invite professionals to lead these sessions, offering guidance and expertise in navigating these difficult emotions." Vexar felt a surge of enthusiasm. "Yes, let's create a framework for these workshops and start promoting them within the community. We can encourage individuals to delve deeper into their experiences while knowing they have support." Over the next few weeks, the council worked tirelessly to organize the deep dive workshops. Each session would be carefully crafted to provide a safe space for exploration, reflection, and healing. The response from the community was overwhelmingly positive, with many expressing eagerness to engage in these discussions. As the first workshop approached, Vexar felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He knew that diving deeper into these themes could evoke intense emotions. They were treading on delicate ground, but he believed in the power of vulnerability and connection. The evening of the workshop arrived, and the plaza was filled with an electric energy. Participants gathered, their faces a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Vexar stood at the front, his heart racing as he surveyed the crowd. "Welcome, everyone. Tonight, we're here to explore the theme of trauma and its impact on our lives. This is a space for healing and connection." He introduced the guest facilitator, a compassionate woman named Ilara, who had experience in trauma-informed care. "Ilara will guide us through exercises and discussions that will help us explore our experiences and foster healing." As the workshop unfolded, Vexar felt the intensity of the emotions in the room. Ilara led the group through grounding exercises, encouraging participants to connect with their bodies and breathe through their feelings. The atmosphere was charged with vulnerability, each individual inviting their own shadows into the light. Elora then opened the floor for sharing. "Who would like to start?" she asked gently. A young man raised his hand, his voice trembling as he spoke. "I've struggled with anxiety ever since I was a child. It often feels like a shadow that follows me everywhere. I want to be free, but I don't know how." Vexar felt the weight of his words. "Thank you for sharing that. Anxiety can be an overwhelming presence. It's important to acknowledge how it affects you and to know you're not alone." As others began to share, Vexar was struck by the raw honesty that filled the space. Each story added layers to their collective experience. They were not just recounting their pain, they were inviting connection and understanding, weaving their stories into a rich tapestry of resilience. Lyra stood up, her voice quavering but resolute. "I've felt that shadow too, the weight of my past haunting me. I want to break free from it, but sometimes I feel trapped." "Your desire to break free is powerful," Elara responded, her tone supportive. "Recognizing that desire is the first step. Together, we can explore ways to navigate that pain and work towards healing." As the workshop continued, Vexar felt a sense of purpose swell within him. They were delving into the depths of their struggles, and although the emotions were intense, he sensed a growing solidarity among the participants. They were acknowledging their pain together, and that alone held immense power. At the end of the session, Vexar stood before the group, his heart full. "Thank you all for your courage tonight. Sharing your experiences is not easy, but it's a vital part of the healing process. Remember that you are not alone. We're in this together." As the participants began to disperse, Vexar felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They had ventured into the shadows and emerged stronger, united by their shared experiences. In the days that followed, the workshops continued, each one bringing forth new layers of emotion and insight. Vexar watched as individuals began to confront their fears head-on, fostering a culture of openness and vulnerability within the community. However, as they delved deeper, Vexar couldn't shake the feeling that they had yet to confront a particularly daunting shadow, the one that loomed over their entire existence on Earth. One evening, as the council gathered to discuss the future of their workshops, Vexar brought up his concerns. "While we've made incredible progress in addressing individual struggles, I think we need to consider the larger context of our situation. We're here on Earth, facing an alien environment, and we need to explore how that impacts our mental health and sense of belonging." Mira looked thoughtful. "That's a valid point. The challenges we face aren't just personal, they're tied to our existence here. We need to consider how to address the unique pressures that come with being here." Tithra nodded, her creativity igniting. "We could hold a workshop focused on identity and belonging, exploring how being on Earth shapes our experiences and sense of self. It's an important conversation to have." Vexar felt a sense of urgency. "Let's organize this workshop as soon as possible. We need to create a space for individuals to voice their thoughts and feelings about our situation." As the workshop planning commenced, Vexar found himself reflecting on his own identity. What did it mean to be a part of this community, to exist in a place where gravity itself felt like an alien trap? He knew he needed to confront these questions to lead effectively. The day of the Identity and Belonging workshop arrived, and the plaza was charged with anticipation. Vexar stood at the front, surveying the gathered crowd. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we'll explore the theme of identity and how our experiences on Earth shape who we are. This is a space for open dialogue and reflection." As he introduced the guest facilitator, a wise and seasoned woman named Kayla, he felt a sense of hope. Kayla will guide us through discussions and activities that will allow us to explore our identities in this unique context. Kayla began by inviting participants to reflect on their journeys, encouraging them to consider how their experiences on Earth had influenced their sense of self. She led them through writing exercises, prompting them to pen down their thoughts on what it meant to be here and how it shaped their identities. As participants began to share, Vexar felt a wave of emotion wash over him. Their stories reflected the complexities of existence, navigating the intricacies of belonging while grappling with feelings of alienation. The shadows that had once seemed insurmountable began to shimmer in the light of shared experience. One woman shared her struggle with feeling disconnected from her past, torn between her origins. The Identity and Belonging workshop blossomed into a powerful exploration of self and community. Participants filled the plaza with their voices, each sharing their unique narratives of displacement and resilience. Vexar stood back, feeling the energy shift as stories interwove, creating a collective understanding of their existence. Kayla guided the discussion deftly, encouraging participants to dig deep into their experiences. How has your journey shaped your identity? In what ways do you feel connected to Earth? And how does that connection affect your sense of self? A young woman named Asha raised her hand, her face light with determination. I often feel like an outsider here. My past is tied to a different world, and I struggle to reconcile that with my life on Earth. Sometimes it feels like I'm living in two different realities. Thank you for sharing that, Asha, Kayla said gently. It's common to feel a disconnect when transitioning to a new environment. Exploring these feelings can lead to a deeper understanding of who you are. As Asha spoke, Vexar could see others nodding in recognition. They were not alone in their struggles. The diversity of their backgrounds and experiences contributed to a rich tapestry of identities that defined their community. A middle-aged man named Jarek, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I've spent years trying to fit into this new world, but I often feel like I'm losing parts of myself in the process. I want to belong, but at what cost? Vexar felt a pang of empathy. That's a valid concern, Jarek. Balancing the desire to belong while maintaining our authenticity can be challenging. It's important to remember that our identities are fluid. We can honor our past while creating space for new experiences. As the workshop continued, participants shared stories of loss, hope, and transformation. Each voice contributed to a growing sense of connection, allowing individuals to reflect on their journeys without judgment. Vexar felt the weight of their shared experiences, the shadows slowly dissipating in the warmth of understanding. The workshop concluded with a powerful exercise. Kayla encouraged everyone to find a partner and share a mantra or affirmation that resonated with their identity. Let's celebrate our uniqueness and acknowledge the strength we find in our community, she said. Vexar partnered with Lyra, who smiled softly at him. I'm glad we're doing this together, she said. It feels like a reminder that we're all on this journey together. What affirmation do you want to share? Vexar asked, curious to hear her thoughts. I've been thinking a lot about resilience, Lyra replied, her voice thoughtful. I want to embrace the idea that I am strong enough to face my fears. So my affirmation is, I am resilient, and I honor my journey. What about you? Vexar considered her words, feeling a sense of clarity. I think mine would be, I am a part of this community, and I embrace my identity. It's a reminder that I belong here, even when it feels daunting. They shared their affirmations with each other, the act serving as a bond that reinforced their connection. As the evening drew to a close, Vexar felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They had not only explored the depths of identity, but also forged stronger ties among one another. In the days that followed, Vexar noticed a shift within the community. The workshops had ignited a spark of resilience, encouraging individuals to confront their pasts while embracing their evolving identities. The support group flourished, providing a safe space for open dialogue and shared experiences. Yet, amid the blossoming connections, Vexar sensed an undercurrent of unease. They had ventured into the shadows of their pasts, but there was still a profound uncertainty lingering over their collective existence. It was time to confront the larger forces that bound them to this world and explore the implications of their alien origins. One afternoon, while meeting with the council, Vexar brought up his concerns. As we delve deeper into identity and belonging, we also need to address the question of our existence here. We've created a strong community, but we must confront the reality of why we're on Earth and what that means for our future. Mira leaned forward, her brow furrowed. I understand what you're saying. We've built connections and fostered healing, but the larger questions about our purpose remain unanswered. Tithra nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps we could organize a workshop focused on purpose and belonging, exploring the intersection of our identities with our place in the universe. It could be a powerful opportunity for introspection. Vexar felt a spark of excitement. That's an excellent idea. We can invite individuals to share their visions for the future and how their identities influence their sense of purpose. The council worked diligently to prepare for the workshop on purpose. They invited guest speakers who had experience in philosophical and existential discussions, ensuring a well-rounded exploration of the topic. The day of the workshop arrived, and Vexar felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The plaza was filled with participants eager to delve into the complexities of existence. Vexar stood at the front, looking out at the crowd, and took a deep breath. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're here to explore the theme of purpose and how our identities intertwine with our existence on Earth. This is a space for open dialogue and reflection, where we can share our thoughts and visions for the future. As Vexar introduced the guest speakers, he felt the energy in the plaza shift. The discussions began to flow, and participants engaged in deep conversations about their purpose, their identities, and the broader implications of being on Earth. One speaker, a philosopher named Oren, posed a thought-provoking question. What does it mean to find purpose in a world that often feels alien? How do we navigate the complexities of identity while seeking fulfillment? A young man named Amir raised his hand. I often feel overwhelmed by the idea of purpose. Sometimes it seems like everyone else has it figured out, while I'm just trying to survive. That's a common feeling, Oren replied, nodding empathetically. Finding purpose can be a lifelong journey, and it's essential to recognize that it's not a destination, but rather an ongoing exploration. As participants engaged in discussions, Vexar could feel the weight of their thoughts. They were grappling with profound questions about their existence and identity, confronting the shadows that lingered beneath the surface. Kayla stepped in to guide the conversation. Let's take a moment to reflect on our individual journeys. How has your past shaped your sense of purpose, and how do you envision your future? Lyra spoke up, her voice steady. I've often felt lost, unsure of my purpose. But through our workshops, I've started to realize that my journey isn't just about finding answers. It's about embracing the process and allowing myself to grow. That's a powerful realization, Vexar added, feeling a sense of pride in Lyra's growth. Sometimes our purpose can be found in the connections we build and the impact we have on others. The discussions continued, weaving a rich tapestry of thoughts and reflections. As participants engaged in conversations about purpose, Vexar observed the shifts in their expressions. They were no longer just confronting their struggles. They were beginning to embrace their identities and envision a future filled with possibility. As the workshop neared its conclusion, Vexar felt a surge of hope. They had created a space for exploration and understanding, allowing individuals to reflect on their purpose while connecting with one another. Thank you all for your courage and openness today, Vexar said, standing before the group. Remember that finding purpose is a journey, and it's okay to embrace uncertainty. We're here to support each other as we navigate our paths. As the participants began to leave, Vexar felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. They had ventured into the depths of their identities and confronted the shadows of their existence. The community was growing stronger, unified by their shared experiences. In the days that followed, the conversations continued to resonate within Vexar. He began to reflect on his own identity and purpose, feeling a desire to contribute to the community in meaningful ways. There was still much work to be done. One evening, he sat on a bench in the plaza, watching the sunset paint the sky with vibrant colors. The beauty of the moment filled him with inspiration. He knew he wanted to create something tangible that would serve as a reminder of their journey, a symbol of resilience and unity. That night, Vexar reached out to Tithra and the council to share his vision. What if we created a mural in the plaza, depicting the themes we've explored together? It could celebrate our identities, our stories, and our shared journey. Tithra's eyes sparkled with excitement. I love that idea. We could incorporate elements from the tapestry, along with symbols representing our individual stories. It would be a beautiful tribute to our community. As they brainstormed ideas, Vexar felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. They were not just building a community, they were creating a legacy, a testament to their resilience and growth. Over the following weeks, they gathered supplies and began working on the mural. Participants were invited to contribute their own symbols and colors, allowing each individual to add a piece of their identity to the canvas. The plaza buzzed with creativity as people came together to share their stories through art. As the mural took shape, Vexar felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. They were channeling their experiences into something beautiful and meaningful, a reminder of their collective journey. Each stroke of paint reflected their growth and resilience, weaving a narrative that honored their past while embracing their future. On the day of the mural's unveiling, the sun rose gently over the plaza, casting a warm glow on the colorful canvas that had become the centerpiece of their community. Vexar stood back, admiring the mural that represented their shared experiences, a vibrant tapestry of colors, symbols, and stories, all woven together to reflect their journey of resilience and unity. The day of the unveiling had finally arrived, and Vexar could feel the electric anticipation in the air. The plaza was bustling with activity as participants gathered, their faces lit with excitement and pride. Banners were hung, and tables were set up with refreshments. It felt like a celebration of their identity, a collective acknowledgement of the struggles they had faced and the connections they had forged. As Vexar moved through the crowd, he exchanged smiles and greetings with familiar faces. Lyra approached him, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "I can't believe we're finally unveiling the mural. It's beautiful." "Thank you, Lyra," Vexar replied, beaming at her. "This is a testament to all our hard work and dedication. It's amazing to see our community come together like this." Lyra glanced at the mural, her expression contemplative. "It feels like a celebration of who we are, our struggles, our triumphs, and everything in between. It's a reminder that we're not alone." Vexar nodded in agreement, his heart swelling with pride. "Exactly. Each brushstroke tells a story. It's a visual representation of our journey, and I hope it inspires everyone to embrace their own identities." As the crowd began to gather around the mural, Vexar stepped up to the makeshift stage that had been set up for the unveiling. Mira stood beside him, her expression serious yet filled with anticipation. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice steady. "More than ever," Vexar replied, taking a deep breath. "Let's celebrate what we've created together." As he addressed the crowd, Vexar felt a surge of emotion. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we gather to celebrate not just a mural, but the essence of our community, the stories, struggles, and connections that define us. This mural represents our resilience and the strength we find in one another." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Vexar smiled, feeling the collective energy radiate around him. "Every one of you has contributed to this masterpiece, and today we honor that. Let's unveil this mural together." With a flourish, Vexar and Mira pulled away the cloth that had been draped over the mural, revealing a breathtaking panorama of colors and symbols. Gasps of awe echoed through the crowd as they took in the vibrant representation of their journey. The mural depicted a vast landscape, with waves of color representing emotions: deep blues for sorrow, bright yellows for joy, and greens for growth. Interspersed throughout were symbols that held personal significance for community members: a feather for freedom, a phoenix rising from the ashes, and hands joined together in unity. As the crowd admired the mural, Vexar felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This was more than just art. It was a living embodiment of their collective identity. "Let's take a moment to reflect on what this mural means to us," Vexar continued. "It's not just a decoration. It's a reminder of our journeys and the strength we found in each other." One by one, participants began to share their thoughts. Asha stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. "When I look at this mural, I see hope. It reminds me that even in my darkest moments, I am not alone." We are all part of something bigger." The crowd responded with warm applause, and Vexar felt a deep sense of pride in HFY's bravery. As more individuals shared their reflections, it became evident that the mural was resonating deeply within the community. Jarek took a turn, his expression serious yet filled with determination. "This mural encapsulates our journey. It's a reminder that while we may come from different places, we share a common purpose to support one another and to honor our pasts while looking forward to the future." "Exactly," Vexar added, feeling the weight of his words. "This is a testament to our resilience. Let this mural inspire us to continue embracing our identities and supporting each other as we navigate our paths." As the unveiling continued, Vexar realized that the mural had sparked a new energy within the community. They were not just celebrating their past, they were committing to a future filled with hope, connection, and understanding. After the formal speeches, the plaza transformed into a lively celebration. Music filled the air as participants began to dance, laughter and joy echoing throughout the space. Vexar joined in, feeling the rhythm of the moment. This was what they had worked so hard to achieve, a sense of belonging and joy. Lyra found him in the crowd, her laughter infectious. "This is incredible. I can't believe how far we've come. It's like we're finally beginning to embrace our identities and celebrate who we are." Vexar grinned, his heart light. "It's amazing to witness. I think the mural has given everyone a sense of ownership over their stories. We're all part of this together." As the celebration continued, Vexar took a moment to step back and observe the scene. People were mingling, sharing stories, and laughing together. The mural stood as a beautiful backdrop, a testament to their journey. However, amidst the joy, a shadow flickered at the edge of his mind. He knew they had come together in celebration, but he couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was far from over. There were still questions to confront and challenges to face. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Vexar found himself drawn to the mural once more. He ran his fingers along the brushstrokes, feeling the energy of each person who had contributed to it. "Hey," Lyra's voice broke through his thoughts. "Lost in thought again?" "Just reflecting," he admitted, glancing at her. "This mural means so much to all of us, but I can't help but wonder what's next. We've built this incredible community, but what challenges lie ahead?" Lyra's expression turned serious, and she joined him at the mural. "I understand what you mean. We've made progress, but the world outside our community is still filled with uncertainties. We can't forget that." "Exactly," Vexar replied, his gaze focused on the mural. "We've created a strong foundation here, but we need to prepare ourselves for whatever comes next. We can't afford to become complacent." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe we can host a discussion about what we might face in the future. It's important for us to be proactive rather than reactive." "That's a great idea," Vexar said, his excitement rekindled. "Let's plan a community gathering to address our future and the challenges we might face. We can invite everyone to share their concerns and brainstorm solutions together." As they talked, Vexar felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. They had come so far, but he knew they needed to remain vigilant. The shadows that once haunted them had lessened, but they hadn't disappeared entirely. Over the next few days, Vexar and Lyra worked diligently to organize the gathering. They created flyers, spread the word, and encouraged community members to come with an open heart and mind. The goal was to foster an environment where they could confront their fears, share their concerns, and collectively strategize for the future. When the day of the gathering arrived, the plaza was filled with anticipation. Participants trickled in, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Vexar stood at the front, feeling the weight of the moment. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. "Today, we're here to discuss our future and the challenges we may face as a community. It's important that we address our concerns and work together to find solutions." As Vexar opened the floor for discussion, he sensed the tension in the air. Participants shared their fears, worries about the unknown, the potential for division, and the pressures of their alien existence on Earth. Asha spoke up again, her voice filled with emotion. I fear that as we grow, we may lose the sense of connection that has brought us together. It's easy to feel isolated when we're navigating our individual journeys. That's a valid concern, Vexar replied, nodding. Maintaining our sense of community is crucial, especially as we face new challenges. We need to create spaces for ongoing dialogue and connection. Jerk added, We've built a strong foundation, but we must remain adaptable. What worked for us in the past may not serve us in the future. We need to be open to change and willing to evolve. As the discussion unfolded, Vexar felt a mix of hope and determination. They were collectively acknowledging their fears, but they were also committed to finding solutions. The atmosphere shifted from apprehension to resolve, and Vexar felt a renewed sense of purpose. Lyra suggested, What if we create smaller groups focused on specific challenges? We can address different areas: mental health, community building, and even environmental concerns. That way, we can tackle issues head-on while keeping our sense of unity. The crowd responded positively, and the momentum continued to build. They brainstormed ideas, formed groups, and committed to holding regular meetings to ensure they remained connected and proactive. As the gathering came to a close, Vexar felt a sense of pride swell within him. They had taken a step toward confronting their uncertainties and fortifying their community against future challenges. As the sun set over the plaza, casting long shadows across the mural, Vexar and Lyra remained, reflecting on the energy that had filled the gathering. The commitment from community members to actively engage in addressing their future challenges was palpable. Vexar felt an optimistic spark igniting within him, tempered by the awareness of the road ahead. Did you see the way everyone engaged? Lyra said, her eyes shining with excitement. It feels like we're really building something here, a foundation for growth. Yes, Vexar replied, his mind still racing with the possibilities. But we need to keep that momentum going. It's not enough to just talk about our concerns. We have to take actionable steps. Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. Let's set a date for our first group meetings. We can encourage participants to share their ideas and expertise. We have such a wealth of knowledge within our community, people with diverse experiences. Exactly, Vexar agreed. We'll create an inclusive environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute. If we pool our strengths, we can tackle any challenges that come our way. The next few days were filled with planning. Vexar and Lyra worked tirelessly to organize the smaller group meetings. They reached out to participants who had expressed interest in specific issues: mental health, cultural integration, and environmental stewardship, hoping to gather individuals passionate about those areas. On the day of the first group meeting, excitement buzzed in the air as participants arrived at the plaza. Vexar felt the familiar mix of anticipation and nervousness. He stood at the front, ready to welcome everyone and set the tone for the discussions. Welcome, everyone, he began, his voice steady. Today marks the beginning of our journey to proactively address the challenges we face as a community. We're here to share our ideas, support each other, and take meaningful steps toward our collective future. Lyra stood beside him, holding a clipboard filled with notes. We've created several smaller groups based on the interest that were expressed during our last gathering. Each group will have a facilitator to guide the discussion and help us identify actionable steps. As Vexar introduced the facilitators, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. These were individuals who had shown exceptional dedication to the community, and he knew they would lead the discussions with compassion and insight. Let's divide into our groups now, Vexar instructed. Once we're settled, we'll start sharing ideas and setting goals for what we want to achieve. Participants shuffled into their designated groups, the plaza filling with the sound of animated conversation. Vexar observed as people began to share their thoughts openly, creating an atmosphere of collaboration. He moved toward the group focused on mental health, where Asha had volunteered to be a facilitator. She stood at the front, her demeanor confident yet warm. I'm so glad to see everyone here, she said. her voice resonating with sincerity. Mental health is a crucial aspect of our well-being, especially as we navigate the complexities of our lives on Earth. Let's share our thoughts and experiences, and explore ways we can support one another. As the discussion unfolded, participants began to share their struggles and coping mechanisms. Vexar listened intently, feeling the weight of their stories. It was evident that mental health was a shared concern, and HFY was guiding the group with sensitivity and care. Nearby, Lyra was facilitating the cultural integration group. Her passion for the topic shone through as she encouraged participants to share their backgrounds and experiences. Understanding our diverse heritages is key to building a stronger community, she emphasized. Let's discuss ways we can celebrate our differences while finding common ground. In another corner of the plaza, the environmental stewardship group gathered. Tithra, a passionate advocate for sustainability, led the conversation with enthusiasm. Our planet is a shared home, and it's essential that we take steps to protect it, she declared. Let's brainstorm ideas for sustainable practices we can adopt as a community. Vexar felt a surge of hope as he moved among the groups, witnessing the spirit of collaboration taking root. This was the embodiment of what they had worked so hard to create, a community united in purpose, ready to confront challenges together. After an hour of discussion, Vexar called everyone back together to share what each group had discovered. "I'm excited to hear what you all have come up with," he said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Let's take a moment to reflect on our discussions and share our goals moving forward." HFY spoke first, her voice steady. "In the mental health group, we discussed the importance of creating safe spaces for open conversations. We want to establish a support network where people can connect and share their experiences without fear of judgment." The crowd nodded in agreement, and Vexar felt a sense of pride in HFY's leadership. "That's a fantastic goal, HFY. A support network can make a significant difference in how we navigate our challenges." Next, Lyra shared insights from her group. "We talked about organizing cultural exchange events where community members can showcase their heritage food, music, and art. This way, we can celebrate our diversity and build stronger connections." "That sounds wonderful," Vexar replied, enthusiasm bubbling in his chest. "It's an opportunity to learn from one another and deepen our understanding of each other's backgrounds." As the groups continued to share their ideas, Tithra spoke about the environmental stewardship group's vision. "We aim to implement sustainable practices within our community, starting with a recycling program and community cleanup events. Our goal is to foster a culture of environmental awareness." Vexar felt a rush of excitement. "Those are excellent initiatives, Tithra. Environmental stewardship is crucial for our future, and I believe our community can lead by example." As the discussions continued, Vexar felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. They were not just individuals navigating their journeys, they were a collective force, united in purpose and determination. After the meeting concluded, participants lingered, chatting and exchanging ideas. Vexar watched as friendships blossomed and connections deepened. The plaza buzzed with life, a testament to the spirit of collaboration that had taken root. In the following weeks, the momentum of the community meetings continued to build. Participants began organizing cultural exchange events, support groups, and environmental initiatives. Vexar felt a renewed sense of purpose as he witnessed the impact of their collective efforts. However, as the community thrived, Vexar couldn't shake the feeling that something loomed on the horizon. The world outside their newfound sanctuary was still filled with uncertainties. News of tensions and conflicts among various factions on Earth reached their ears, and Vexar knew they needed to remain vigilant. One evening, as he sat on the plaza steps reflecting on their progress, Lyra approached him. "You look deep in thought," she observed, sitting beside him. "I've been thinking about how far we've come," Vexar admitted, glancing at the mural that still stood proud in the background. "But there's a part of me that worries about the external pressures we might face. We need to prepare ourselves." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "I share your concerns. While we're building this incredible community, the world outside is unpredictable. We should discuss ways to ensure our safety and solidarity. Agreed, Vexar replied, feeling the weight of the responsibility settle on his shoulders. Perhaps we can host a gathering focused on safety and unity. It could be an opportunity for us to develop a collective strategy for facing external challenges. That sounds like a great idea, Lyra said, her eyes sparkling with determination. Let's rally the community and encourage them to share their thoughts on how we can remain strong in the face of adversity. The next week, Vexar and Lyra organized the gathering, focusing on unity and safety. The plaza once again filled with participants, their expressions a mixture of determination and concern. Vexar stood at the front, his heart pounding. Thank you all for coming. We've built a beautiful community together, but as we know, there are challenges that lie ahead. Today, we'll discuss ways to ensure our unity and resilience as we face the uncertainties of the outside world. Participants shared their concerns: fear of division, the potential for conflict, and the uncertainty of their place on Earth. Each voice added to the growing dialogue, and Vexar felt the weight of their collective anxieties. Lyra encouraged participants to focus on proactive strategies. We need to create a network of support that extends beyond our community. Let's identify allies and resources that can help us navigate challenges together. As discussions unfolded, a young man named Ryan shared his thoughts. We should consider forming partnerships with local organizations that align with our values. Strengthening our connections with others can create a powerful network. That's a brilliant idea, Ryan, Vexar replied, feeling the spark of hope. Building alliances can amplify our voices and ensure we're not facing challenges alone. As the gathering progressed, participants began to brainstorm practical steps to ensure their unity. They discussed creating a communication network to share information quickly, establishing community watch groups to promote safety, and engaging with local organizations that championed inclusivity. By the time the gathering concluded, Vexar felt a renewed sense of determination within the community. They were not just passive bystanders, they were active participants in shaping their destiny. As participants began to leave, Vexar stood at the front, feeling grateful for the connections they had forged. Thank you all for your contributions today. Together, we are building a community that is not only resilient, but also committed to supporting one another through any challenges we may face. As the last of the participants departed, Lyra joined Vexar, her expression filled with pride. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Vexar stood on the steps of the plaza, watching the community disperse. The energy from the gathering lingered in the air, a palpable reminder of their shared commitment to face whatever challenges awaited them. Yet, despite the optimism that filled his heart, an undercurrent of unease tugged at his thoughts. Lyra joined him, her expression thoughtful. You did an incredible job today, Vexar. The way you brought everyone together was inspiring. Thanks, Lyra, he replied, appreciating her support. But I can't shake this feeling that we're just scratching the surface. There are bigger issues out there: tensions among factions, the uncertainty of our existence here. It feels like we're on borrowed time. Lyra nodded, her brow furrowing. You're right. The world outside our community is unpredictable. We've created a safe space here, but we need to remain vigilant. We can't afford to ignore the realities that threaten us. As they walked through the plaza, Vexar noticed a group of children playing near the mural. Their laughter rang like music, a stark contrast to the weighty conversations they had just experienced. Vexar paused, taking in the sight. These children were the embodiment of hope, innocent and free, unaware of the complexities surrounding their existence. What do you think will happen next? Lyra asked, her voice gentle. I don't know, Vexar admitted, a frown creasing his forehead. But I think it's important for us to prepare. We should consider ways to engage with other communities and possibly create a coalition. If we stand together, we can better navigate any threats. An alliance could strengthen our position, Lyra agreed. We should start reaching out to other groups. Perhaps we can find common ground with those who share our values. With a renewed sense of purpose, Vexar and Lyra made plans to explore potential alliances. They decided to attend a local community fair that weekend, a gathering known for attracting diverse groups. It would be an opportunity to meet new faces and engage with organizations aligned with their vision. The day of the fair arrived, and the plaza transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors, sounds, and scents. Booths lined the paths, each representing various community organizations, artisans, and local initiatives. Vexar felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension. This was a chance to connect, but it also felt like stepping into the unknown. As they navigated through the crowds, Vexar and Lyra approached a booth featuring environmental initiatives. A woman with curly hair and a warm smile greeted them. "Welcome. We're focused on promoting sustainable practices in our community. We believe that environmental stewardship is crucial for all of us," she said, enthusiasm radiating from her. "I'm Tithra, and this is my friend Vexar," Lyra introduced them. "We're part of a community initiative that aims to foster unity and resilience among diverse groups. We're looking to connect with others who share our values." Tithra's eyes lit up. "That sounds incredible. It's essential for us to come together in the face of environmental challenges. We've been organizing community cleanup events and workshops on sustainable living. We'd love to collaborate." Vexar felt a surge of hope. "That's fantastic. We've been discussing similar initiatives within our community. A partnership could amplify our efforts." As they exchanged ideas, Vexar noticed a growing crowd forming around another booth a short distance away. Curious, he and Lyra made their way through the throngs of people, drawn by the palpable energy. When they reached the booth, they were met by a group of individuals advocating for social justice. A tall man with striking blue eyes spoke passionately about their mission. "We're working to create a more equitable society, addressing systemic inequalities that affect marginalized communities." Vexar felt a spark of connection. "I'm Vexar, and this is Lyra. We're part of a community focused on unity and support for diverse identities. Your mission resonates with us. We'd love to explore ways we can work together." The man, introduced as Kellen, smiled. "Collaboration is key. We've been seeking partners who understand the importance of inclusivity. Let's discuss how we can support one another in our efforts." As they delved into discussions, Vexar felt a surge of optimism. They were meeting individuals who shared their vision, people committed to creating positive change. With each conversation, the idea of building a coalition became increasingly tangible. After several hours of engaging discussions and exchanging contact information, Vexar and Lyra took a break under a shady tree. They reflected on their day, feeling a mix of exhilaration and exhaustion. "This was a great start," Lyra said, her eyes sparkling. "We've made valuable connections, and I can feel the energy shifting." "Agreed," Vexar replied, his mind racing with possibilities. "We have an opportunity to create a network of support that extends beyond our community. If we can unite with these groups, we can amplify our voices and resources." As they sat in the shade, Vexar's gaze drifted to the fair's lively atmosphere. Children laughed as they played games, vendors showcased their crafts, and people mingled freely. It was a beautiful reminder of the joy that could be found in connection and community. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the fair, Vexar's sense of unease returned. He couldn't shake the feeling that while they were forging alliances, there were unseen forces lurking beyond the boundaries of their community. The following weeks were filled with productive meetings and collaborations. Vexar, Lyra, Tithra, and Kellen continued to connect with other organizations, building a coalition focused on unity, sustainability, and social justice. They planned joint events, shared resources, and worked together to amplify their messages. However, amidst the growing excitement, Vexar felt a disquieting tension. Rumors circulated about rising tensions in various factions on Earth groups, clashing over territory, ideology, and power. He sensed a storm brewing, one that could disrupt the fragile connections they had worked so hard to establish. One evening, as Vexar and Lyra gathered with their coalition partners to discuss upcoming initiatives, a commotion outside the plaza caught their attention. Vexar felt a tight knot form in his stomach as they stepped outside to investigate. A group of individuals stood at the entrance of the plaza, shouting slogans and brandishing signs that spoke of division and exclusion. Vexar's heart raced as he recognized the symbols representing ideologies rooted in fear and hatred. Lyra's expression hardened. "This isn't good. They're protesting against inclusivity, trying to sow discord." Vexar nodded, his mind racing. "We need to stand together. This is a test of our resolve. If we don't confront this head-on, we risk losing everything we've built." As the tension escalated, Vexar stepped forward, raising his hands to calm the crowd. "Everyone, let's gather and respond with unity. We cannot allow hatred to divide us." With Lyra at his side, he moved toward the protesters, his heart pounding. "We stand for inclusion and understanding. Let's show them that our community is built on love and support, not division." The protesters shouted louder, but Vexar felt a wave of determination wash over him. He turned to the coalition members who had gathered behind him, their faces resolute. "Let's hold our ground. We'll demonstrate the strength of our community by standing together. We will not be silenced." With that, Vexar led the group into a peaceful demonstration of solidarity. They formed a line at the entrance to the plaza, their arms linked, faces determined. The mural loomed behind them, a powerful symbol of their journey and unity. As the two sides faced each other, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Vexar could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He knew this was a turning point. They were being challenged, not just by the protesters, but by the fears that resided within their own hearts. The protesters continued to shout, but the coalition members began to chant a different message, one of love, acceptance, and unity. The words rolled off their tongues like a mantra, echoing through the plaza. "Together we rise, together we thrive." As the chants filled the air, Vexar felt a surge of hope. He looked to Lyra, whose eyes shone with determination. She nodded, encouraging him to keep going. "Let's share our stories," Vexar called out, his voice steady. "Let's show them the beauty of our diversity, the strength that comes from unity. We are not afraid, and we will not back down." One by one, members of the coalition stepped forward, sharing their experiences, their struggles, and their hopes. Vexar listened as voices rose in a chorus of resilience, drowning out the divisive shouts of the protesters. The crowd began to shift, and Vexar felt a palpable change in the atmosphere. People who had initially joined the protesters began to listen, their expressions softening as they heard the stories of love and connection. As the evening wore on, the energy in the plaza transformed. The chants of unity became louder, resonating with a message of hope and inclusion. Vexar watched as some protesters began to lower their signs, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. "Together we rise, together we thrive." The coalition chanted once more, their voices unyielding. As the sun set, casting a warm golden glow over the plaza, Vexar felt a sense of triumph wash over him. They had faced. The atmosphere in the plaza shifted as the last echoes of unity faded into the evening air. Vexar stood at the forefront, adrenaline still coursing through him. The tension of the earlier confrontation had melted away, replaced by a sense of solidarity that now enveloped the community. But beneath that sense of accomplishment, a gnawing anxiety persisted in the back of his mind. "Can we really maintain this momentum?" he wondered aloud to Lyra as the crowd began to disperse. She turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "This moment was powerful, but it's just the beginning. We need to keep the dialogue open and continue to engage those who oppose us. Otherwise, we risk allowing fear and division to fester." "Right," Vexar replied, rubbing the back of his neck as he surveyed the remaining coalition members. "We've shown that we can stand together. Now we need to figure out how to convert that energy into sustained action." "Let's schedule a follow-up meeting," Lyra suggested, her eyes alight with determination. We can discuss how to foster more conversations and create a welcoming space for those who may not fully understand our vision. Vexar nodded, feeling a flicker of hope reignite within him. I'll reach out to everyone involved in the coalition. We should also consider inviting some of the individuals from the protest. If they see we're willing to listen and engage, it might help bridge the gap. As the night wore on, the plaza gradually emptied, but Vexar felt a profound connection with those who remained. They were the heart of the community, their shared vision infused with resilience and a commitment to change. Each person had contributed to the collective strength that had emerged that evening, and Vexar was eager to keep that spirit alive. The following days were filled with planning and outreach. Vexar and Lyra worked closely with coalition partners to finalize a date for the follow-up meeting. They drafted messages aimed at not only their existing members, but also the individuals who had protested, aiming to foster an atmosphere of dialogue and understanding. When the day of the meeting arrived, the plaza was abuzz with anticipation. A mixture of familiar faces and new ones gathered, some holding uncertain expressions as they stepped forward. Vexar stood at the front, his heart pounding in his chest as he faced the crowd. "Thank you all for coming today," he began, his voice steady. "This gathering is an opportunity for us to share our thoughts and experiences, to listen, and to grow together. Our community is stronger when we're willing to engage with one another, especially those who might not share our views." As he spoke, he scanned the crowd and recognized a few faces from the protest. They stood slightly apart, arms crossed, their expressions cautious but curious. Vexar felt a swell of hope. This was progress. Lyra stepped forward, her warm demeanor inviting. "We want to create a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. We all come from different backgrounds, and those differences can enrich our community. Let's listen to each other today." The crowd began to break into smaller discussion groups, each guided by a facilitator from the coalition. Vexar noticed that the participants who had previously protested were slowly mingling with others, their defenses lowering as they engaged in conversation. As Vexar moved through the groups, he overheard snippets of conversations. Stories were shared, tales of struggle, resilience, and hope. It was clear that the walls of division were slowly starting to crumble. One of the protesters, a young woman named Alara, stood at the edge. As the discussions progressed, Vexar felt a shift in the atmosphere, a sense of possibility that hadn't existed before. The plaza, once merely a gathering place, had transformed into a sanctuary of dialogue and understanding. People shared their hopes and fears, weaving their narratives into a shared tapestry of resilience. Vexar approached Alara, who was engaged in a passionate discussion about sustainable practices. "You have some great ideas," he said, genuinely impressed. "What inspired you to join the protest?" Alara hesitated for a moment, then spoke with sincerity. "I was frustrated with the division I saw in our society. I felt like the voices of those who were marginalized were being drowned out. But being here today, I realize there's a different way to engage. I want to be part of that change." Vexar smiled, feeling a sense of camaraderie. "That's exactly why we're here, to bridge those gaps and create an inclusive community. Your voice matters, and together, we can amplify it." As the day wore on, Vexar watched as conversations flourished. Even the individuals who had once held tightly to their divisive beliefs began to engage with the coalition members, discovering common ground in shared experiences and aspirations. Lyra joined Vexar, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "This is incredible. I never expected so many people to come together like this." "It's a testament to the power of dialogue," Vexar replied, still absorbing the moment. "We're showing that we can create change through understanding, not conflict." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the plaza, Vexar gathered everyone together. "Thank you all for participating today. The conversations we've had are just the beginning. Our community is not just about unity. It's about actively engaging with each other and finding ways to support one another." The crowd erupted in applause, the energy electric. Vexar felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. They had not only weathered a storm of division, but had emerged stronger and more united. We'll be planning future events to continue these discussions and foster collaboration, Lyra added. Let's keep this momentum going. Together, we can build a future we can all be proud of. As the gathering dispersed, Vexar found himself standing beside Alara once more. I'm glad you decided to join us today, he said. Your perspective is invaluable. Thanks, she replied, her confidence growing. I think I might want to help organize some of those future events. I have ideas that could resonate with both sides. That would be amazing, Vexar said, a grin spreading across his face. Your voice could help bridge more divides. In the weeks that followed, the plaza became a hub of activity. The coalition organized workshops, cultural events, and environmental cleanups that engaged not only their members, but also individuals from across the spectrum of beliefs and backgrounds. The coalition had morphed into a movement, a living testament to the power of unity. People began to look at the mural differently, not just as a piece of art, but as a symbol of their collective journey. Every color represented the diverse experiences and backgrounds of those who called the plaza home. One evening, as the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the plaza, Vexar and Lyra stood together, surveying the activities. Families mingled, laughter filled the air, and the sounds of music resonated from the stage set up for the evening's cultural showcase. It's beautiful, isn't it? Lyra said, her eyes shimmering. Look at what we've created together. Yeah, it's incredible, Vexar replied, pride swelling in his chest. But I can't help but wonder how we maintain this, how we ensure that our community stays resilient against the external pressures that still exist. Lyra turned to him, her expression serious. We keep the lines of communication open. We hold each other accountable, fostering an environment where everyone feels valued and heard. The moment we stop engaging is the moment we risk division again. Vexar nodded, feeling the weight of her words. We need to keep building those connections, expanding our coalition. The world outside may be chaotic, but if we remain steadfast in our commitment, we can withstand any storm. Just then, Alara approached them, her face flushed with excitement. I've been talking to some local artists about creating a collaborative mural that reflects our community's journey. I think it could symbolize our ongoing commitment to inclusivity and resilience. That's a fantastic idea, Lyra exclaimed. Art can be a powerful tool for bringing people together and communicating our values. As they discussed the mural, Vexar felt a renewed sense of hope. This was a project that could resonate with many, an opportunity to visually express their collective journey and aspirations. Months later, the new mural unveiled itself as a vibrant tapestry of colors and stories. Each section told a part of the community's journey from division to unity, from fear to hope. The plaza became a gathering point, drawing in individuals eager to engage in conversations about culture, identity, and sustainability. On the day of the mural's unveiling, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Vexar stood at the front, flanked by Lyra and Alara, their faces beaming with pride. Today, we celebrate not just a piece of art, but the spirit of our community, Vexar began, his voice steady. This mural represents our journey, our struggles, and our triumphs. It's a reminder that we are stronger together. As the tarp covering the mural was pulled away, gasps of awe filled the air. The vibrant colors danced under the sunlight, telling stories of diversity, collaboration, and resilience. The crowd erupted in applause, a collective acknowledgement of their shared journey. In that moment, Vexar felt a profound connection to everyone present. They had weathered storms, faced challenges, and emerged united. The mural was not just a celebration of their past, but a promise for the future. We will continue to grow, to learn, and to support one another, Vexar declared, his heart full. Let this mural remind us that our strength lies in our unity. Together, we will face whatever comes our way. As the crowd cheered, Vexar looked at Lyra and Alara, gratitude swelling within him. They had started as individuals with fears and doubts, but had become leaders of a movement, guiding others toward a brighter, more inclusive future. With the sun setting behind them, casting a warm glow over the plaza and the mural. Vexar realized they had created something extraordinary. This was a new dawn, a testament to the power of community, love, and the unyielding belief that together they could overcome anything. And as he stood there, surrounded by laughter, joy, and the vibrant colors of the mural, he knew in his heart that they were just beginning their journey. The world outside may still be fraught with challenges, but within their community, a beacon of hope shone bright, a light that would guide them forward, hand in hand, into whatever lay ahead.